What is good, everybody? We are live. Welcome to the 35th episode of the Worldwide Company of Gamers podcast. How are you all doing this evening? I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing good. Let me just sound check. Yep, sound works great. Man alive, guys. What an amazing I'm lost for words. So, as you've probably guessed by the thumbnail, we have reached a milestone, fam. We hit the 1K subscribers. Yes! Celebrate! Woo! We are legit, guys. We have reached 1,000 subs. Let's go! Worldwide Company of Gamers podcast. We've hit 1,000 today. And it's all thanks to you guys tuning in, listening in, supporting the stream, sharing it out. The like ratio to view ratio is huge. We have amazing like to view ratio compared to some podcasts, and you've just really kind of helped us on the algorithm and helped us on through social media, and we just wouldn't be here without any of you in the chat. So from me to every one of you, whether you're listening in and you don't make yourself known in the chat but you support the show regardless, or whether you're active in the chat such as Wolfaki, Geo Knows Gaming, Sircor, Buck Roger, Wolfaki, Ice Queen Gaming, Dawn, Compost Smurf, Mary Wilcox, Retro, Buck Roger, GG King, all of you guys in the chat, Toolman, thank you so much. Like, you have no idea how much I freaking appreciate you guys. And it's not just because you share this out and you help the algorithm, it's because you've become a huge community that I think about on a daily basis. I'm always thinking about the next show. I'm thinking about talking with you guys, and I just really appreciate every one of you. So I think the panel would agree as well on that big time.
I'm not kissing all their asses like you. I'm not doing.
But they smell so good, man.
The interaction we get off everyone is awesome. You know what I mean. Everybody gets involved in the comments and has their say, so it's good, man. Yeah, we do. We all appreciate you.
Big facts. We really do. Next up is indeed 2K. But just wanted to celebrate, take the moment to appreciate you and celebrate what we've achieved here. So thank you ever so much, guys. We have a legit awesome show with you guys today. First things first, as you guys know, we are now sponsored by Icon Era. If you guys haven't yet created an account, do so right now, and I'll tell you why. You need to do so whilst listening to me talk, because you will have an opportunity to win a copy of Metal Hellsinger tonight if you create an Icon Era account and comment during this live stream what your favorite game is, along with your account name, your Icon Era account name. And if you do that, one of you will be selected at random, and I'll be giving you a copy of Metal Hellsinger. And it's completely free, no card requirements or anything like that. It's a forum with a great community, all about gaming. So, yeah, that's there's a giveaway today of Metal Hellsinger, and it's a freaking awesome game. Social was just talking about it just 5 minutes ago. I've made him green with envy. I reached a high score, and then it's placed me number. What's the position again? Social 40.
You're the Slayer King, my friend. You're 41.
I'm 41 in the world. I'm 41 in the world. Metal Hellsinger. Apparently, on this one level. So I'll take that. It's a phenomenal game. I've got some gameplay of it to show you guys tonight, but it's just not the same, guys. You cannot watch You cannot watch it through just on YouTube and experience how good this game is, because it's so good, the music, and how you have to learn to time your reloads and your movement and your jumps and your dashes and your gunshots to the rhythm and beat of the song to increase your multiplayer. It's so good, and when it flows, man. You feel like a demon. You really freaking do. So it's so understated how good that game is. It's one of my top 5 games in a long time, and I'm very, 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 very.
It puts you in a damn trance.
Yeah, it does, bro.
Does it put you in a trance? Like you don't want to stop playing. Once you get the rhythm down and you start getting the multiplayers going, you don't want to stop playing. You just keep going.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to give one of you folks in the chat a copy of that. So definitely be sure to do that. I'll post a link here in the chat. It's a very quick setup. It won't take you long at all to do. And you never know, you might in fact enjoy the community that is on Icon Era as well. And if you create an account, post your account name along with your favorite game in the chat. I'll review, and a random winner will be picked. So yeah, it's a great opportunity, and it's also to celebrate us hitting 1K. So yeah, it's awesome. So let's get the show on the road, my dudes. Let's introduce the awesome panel that we have tonight. We have 2 guests, but 2 friends of the show. They're very much a part of the COG family. We've got D-Wolf and Social Destruct. You guys know Social Destruct, but not sure if you know D-Wolf. You may do, you may not. So let's introduce him. D-Wolf, I've followed you for a long time. Folky gave you a big shout out on the show not too long ago, calling you a very intelligent man. That's like, I don't know, Gamaliel praising someone as a godly man. I don't know how else to explain it. It's a huge compliment and accolade from Folky to say that about someone, and I just thought, what better way to celebrate and recognize Folky, what Folky recognizes, than to get you on the show. So how you doing, my guy?
Yeah, mate, I'm really good. Folky, great bloke. He's got to get it wrong every now and then, so but hopefully I don't disappoint too much tonight.
Oh, I'm pretty damn sure you won't, buddy. No pressure. But yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself, bud.
A bit about me, been a gamer for many, many years. So turned 44 the other day, 44. So been gaming since the old Atari days. Seen a lot come and go, and just love being a gamer at the moment. So same as Forky, live down in Australia. So it's been pretty cold down here lately, but we're looking forward to the better weather coming up. And yeah, so been on Twitter chatting with all you guys about all the different news and that, and thought I'd come on and have a bit of a chat and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, big facts. I'm just asking everyone, how's the sound? Is the sound all good? So let's see what people say. No, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on, buddy. Glad you're here. Yet another Aussie to grace this podcast.
Taking over.
Love it. Taking over, yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't have it any other way. And our other guest, Social Destruct. How are you, buddy? You doing well?
I'm doing well, man. How are you? Congrats on the 1,000 subs.
Thank you so
thanks for having
much,
me on.
bud. Yeah. Sure. No, pleasure's mine, mate. Pleasure's mine. I'm stoked that you're here. So for people who might not know you, bro, tell them a bit about yourself, your passions, etc.
Well, been gaming since the early Atari days. My main like gaming and metalhead and music. I play guitar. I've been gaming for a long time. I've had I've had every console that there's been as far as gaming. So I've been through most console launches, and yeah, I've been gaming for a long time. So
nice. You also have a very sexy car, if I recall.
Yeah, I got a 2000. I got a Mustang Shelby.
Oh, bro, honestly, this guy. Just to let you guys know, I know Buck will appreciate you. Social Destruct, he's a huge heavy metal fan. Like, he just listens to all the greats. He's completely bowled over, as you can imagine, with Metal Hellsinger as a result. And he drives a freaking Mustang.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get more heavy metal than that, my dudes. Loving it. So
The black with two. I call it Hellfire.
big facts. That's a cool name, man, for a car. Absolutely. Why not? Better than Petal or something like that. And my mum calls her car Petal. Don't ask me why. It's very strange. Like, Petal? It's like petal,
No.
like a leaf falling off a tree. Petal, or a petal of a flower, you know? I'm like, that's such a strange name. She's like, it's my Petal. I'm just like, Mum, it's a car. But Hellfire, I can rock with.
I'm contemplating getting the Dark Horse, the new Mustang.
I love
Did
it.
you see that, Willie? The brand new, removing or getting rid of the Shelby, replacing it with a something called Dark Horse, 2024.
I need to check that out big time. So, Mr. Folky, how you doing, buddy? Great that you're here.
Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Doing quite well. Beautiful sunrise this morning. Yeah, great to get on here and have a chat with you, gentlemen.
It's great that you're here, buddy. I'm glad that you're here. I know I can. Let's just take a moment to appreciate David Faulkner and D-Wolf. They are both here at 6 o'clock in the morning. Their end. D-Wolf's a little sore because he had a few drinks last night as well. So he's made a lot of effort to be here. So honestly, but to both of you, I really appreciate you guys coming on the show at this time on a regular, especially as well with you, Folky. You do it on a regular basis, and to both you and D-Wolf, you make a lot of effort, so it's appreciated. All the way in Australia. Retro, how are you, bud? You doing well?
I'm very well, bro. Just been chilling today. Nice, relaxed Saturday. Played a bit of Gran Turismo. Played a bit of Destiny 2. Yeah, so just chilled.
Fucks. Awesome.
How's your day been, bro?
Mate,
how's your day been?
Well, I've hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm over the moon.
Just about to say congrats, bro. I'm chuffed for you.
Thanks,
really am chuffed for you.
Mate, it was a team effort. It's a team effort. We got here, not me. We did, and it's thanks to the panel, the comments, the sharing out, and everyone talking about it, how much they enjoyed the show. That's what's done this, So
yeah, it's been awesome to watch it grow. Really has.
100%, bro. Same here, man. Very proud of our humble beginnings to where we are now. Tell you what, my wife, I am so stoked. You know why? Because she's been out all day with a friend at this baby event. I went with her to the first one, and she wanted to go to another one in Manchester because we went to one in Liverpool, UK. And anyway, she went with a friend, and she came back with a massive cake with 1K in sparklers, 1K shaped sparklers, and donuts around it. Because this logo is "Don't be a donut, use your noggin." It was so thoughtful, man. I couldn't believe how thoughtful that was of her. So I'll have a big slice of cake, and
Really,
I'll have it for you guys later on. So yeah, I'm sorry guys, we're having connection issues again. I don't know why it keeps doing it, but shout out to Shaky Shako in the chat. We did it. Yes, we did, brother. So let's get the show on the road, right? It's going to be a juicy one, guys. Not going to lie, we've got a few things to talk about, and we'll put the Phil Spencer reveals all for number 2 in the topics list tonight, because I have a feeling we're going to be talking for a particularly lengthy time about that. It's pretty crazy, the things that are happening right now, guys, and only those with ears and eyes are seeing it all unfold. But it's a pity that a lot of people aren't kind of using their noggin to see clearly what's happening with Microsoft and their agenda and goals, and people are kind of extremely naively good faith, kind of peddling their vision, not having a freaking clue, or not taking the time to think about what their vision is. And it's a little bit disconcerting, but we'll talk about that later. Let's first of all focus on topic 1, the state of play. We covered it on the last show, yes, but a good discussion erupted. I say erupted. We had a good discussion in the COG family private chat and in the DMs about whether the fact that sorry guys, I keep getting disconnected and then reconnected. It's particularly bad at the moment. I'm sorry. Whether it's particularly needed for a new, like a bigger showcase for their first party lineups or not. We have a few differences of opinion on this, so it's going to be an interesting discussion. I want to ask the panel, what were your thoughts on the state of play, and did it scratch your itch fully for the entirety of 2022 in terms of what Sony have shown, or would you like Sony to, or do you feel like Sony should show more than they have?
For what was shown, I thought the state of play was a good state of play for what they've shown. The God of War trailer they had at the end was incredible.
Oh yeah, it was an incredible state of play.
Yeah, one of the better ones I've seen in a while from them. So, but my whole idea is, and I mentioned it in the chat, that if Sony's the market leaders, if PlayStation the market leaders, which they are, do they really have to market themselves? People are going to buy that PlayStation game regardless. I'm in agreement with having state of plays. Whatever game is going to come out, for that particular game, like they've done with Ghost of Tsushima, Forbidden West, they're going to do the same for God of War more than likely. So I don't think the huge showcase is needed. That's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. State of plays, yes, but I don't think.
Bro, where I come into that, bro, is you still need stuff. I mean, it's all good us getting state of plays for the stuff that's coming soon, but we need stuff to get excited for the future of the platform too. We need to see what's maybe another year out or 2 years out. You know what I mean? Like, you need eyes on the product. If Sony isn't advertising their future, nobody's going to see that. You know what I mean? They've got to be able to sell the PlayStation as a brand, not just right now, but as a few, like, it's got to be worth it for the future investment too. Do you know what I mean? So I still believe that, like, big showcases at least once a year is still important.
Once a year, I could agree with. Yeah, I was meant, like, if they had multiple showcases a year, that's what I was referring to. Yeah, one a year. They'll have all the state of plays, and then at the end of the year, have their showcase to show off what's coming out for the following year.
And I think the state of plays throughout the year is good for what's coming out that year. But I still think they need a show. And I'm not saying they're not going to do one. This isn't what I'm saying. Don't take it as me moaning, like, oh, Sony's not doing enough shows. I'm just saying, like, for me, I still need those big showcases to show me what my investment is going to get me. You understand?
Because every state of play that PlayStation has, it's everybody pays attention. Even Xbox fans, Nintendo fans, it doesn't matter. Like, whenever they announce anything, everybody watches. That's just because of the market leaders. So that's where I was coming from. Like, do they really need to market themselves? They're already the market leaders. So that was my feeling.
You don't stay the market leader by being complacent.
Yeah, that's very true. Good point.
Yeah, you're true. Yeah,
I think I kind of lean. I think on when you've rephrased it, you do kind of mostly agree, social with retro, that you still feel like a showcase is important, but only maybe one a year is needed, and the rest is state of plays, right?
Yeah.
And I think
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I'd say kind of I agree with that statement that you've made too, and I agree with retro. I do think that the state of play, this state of play has been particularly good. I don't think every state of play has landed. Some have been very, very kind of, here's a load of smaller indie titles for you, and it's kind of like that's great, but where are the big boys? And this State of Play, although it hit, it was fire. Apart from the God of War story trailer, it was all second party and third party titles. And I'm interested to see what their first party will be. And I think a big showcase would be amazing for that. However, it is important to remember that what PlayStation achieved in 20 minutes with State of Play, Xbox struggled with in 6 hours. They didn't achieve in 6 hours. They had a 6-hour booth and showcase event, and mostly what we got was a handful of Game Pass Day One indie projects and titles that are already out and their DLC. Forza, shocker, Forza Horizon, Flight Simulator, and that game on PC that they have a lot of, that isometric Wargame Age of Empires. And that just didn't. I think Sony are setting an example on what's important to the industry. Like these events will trend far more if you keep them concise and stop doing the whole kind of Jeff Keighley bloating it out with a lot of unnecessary things. But at the same time, I would still like a little more than just 20 minutes. You know?
At least half. At least. Yeah. 20 minutes is too short for State of Play. It was a good State of Play, but yeah, I agree with you.
I mean,
20 minutes.
I'm happy with 20 minutes for a State of Play, just not. But I still think you need a longer event. That's not a State of Play in that case, you know. But that's just my thoughts. I don't know how the rest of the panel feel. D-Wolf and Folky, your opinion is on this?
As for me, it's I really enjoyed the State of Play. Really, really keen for Rise of Ronin.
Me too, bro.
I haven't seen the God of War at the end of it was great, but it didn't raise my excitement levels that much more because they're pretty high anyway. I suppose for me, it's the narrative around the whole Sony's arrogant. Why aren't they coming out here showing us? Have they got anything to show us? They're taking advantage or taking the piss out of the players and treating them like shit and all that. That's what's getting annoying me, because I understand why Sony isn't doing a showcase. I mean, they're selling out their console, so by doing a big showcase, putting money into that, they're not going to sell any more consoles from it because they can't sell any more. So I think I understand that point of view. And the other thing, and of course this is just speculation, but I think also we may be looking at a transition into the newer generation with the new games coming out. And I think once God of War Ragnarok comes out, we may see a change in their marketing strategies. But again, that's speculation, so we'll see where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
That God of War was unexpected to me. I didn't think they were going to show that God of War at the end. That was unexpected to me. I didn't know they were.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a separate State of Play for God of War, so that kind of made me go, are they going to do a separate one? Or
that's why I thought,
I don't want them to show too much more of God of War. Like, we're seeing heaps already. It's looking amazing. I'm going to be getting it.
Big facts. I'm very much the same. Sorry about the constant botting, guys. The connection. Do apologize. No, I'm in a similar boat. I don't want to see more of God of War. I think we've seen enough, and you can overdo it and take away the kind of that awesome, not knowing what to expect feeling if you are too loose and liberal with your cards, if you know what I mean. I don't want.
Certainly.
What did you think of the other games they showed? Any highlights for you, Willie, at all? I like Project Eve, or that new Stellar Blade.
Yes. Oh, for real! Like, I mean, I said just the other day when we reviewed, we watched, we did a live stream reaction to the State of Play, and Stellar Blade just looks freaking incredible. Like the visual fidelity, that we're seeing is it's very understated. Like when you look close at the quality of the assets, it's like of the assets. I'm sorry, guys. The quality of the assets. I'll leave that up to discernment and interpretation. It's very kind of striking, and there's a high level of like tessellation and geometry and very high quality material rendering in that game. And I think it just looks like it's been given a proper AAA revamp, like polish, since the last showcase, since the last reveal of it, which is amazing. It was interesting what happened with Project Eve. Am I right that they lost funding, and so Sony kind of stepped in and continued to fund in the game?
It looked like that at the beginning. Didn't it say Sony, like first part in the beginning of the trailer, if I remember right?
They ran out of money and basically went to publishers, and Sony said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Funding the industry, not buying them. It's what's needed, and they've got a winner on their hands with this one, man. Honestly, like, yeah, it's what the devs needed, and I think they're not holding back with this. It's not like a rip-off, like or kind of like a weak attempt of a game. Speaking of rip-offs, Ashfall, that amazing looking upcoming game from Michael Mumbauer and John Garvin, it's literally had a carbon copy rip-off. I say carbon copy. They've copied the art style and the of the concept art. They've literally copied everything. I'll show you guys what we've got here. It's crazy. IGN were showcasing this game, Ashfall. I'll get there. There we go. Ashfall, like 4 videos of Ashfall coverage. And I don't want to dog on games here, guys, but this looks like, you know the mobile advertisements, those mobile game advertisements where they rip a character model like Kratos or Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, or a well-known character. They copy that character and they throw them into a different fantasy world, and kind of, and it looks really low budget and shoddy. And it looks like they've just shamelessly just copyrighted other people's work to try and capitalize on it for audience growth. Well,
they did. That's it. Michael Mumbauer.
Yeah, that's exactly what Ashfall is one of them, but for console. Because you think these two were the same game, right? But they're not, guys. This is the original concept. This is the original game in development. Michael Mumbauer actually commented to me. You'll see it here if I scroll down. So we showed Ashfall to NetEase at the beginning of this year. If you're wondering why there are 2 games named Ashfall in production, it's pretty easy to deduce why that might be the case if you look at the timeline of events. They passed on our game, but liked the name. They also clearly liked the concept art, Michael. I shit you not, this is terrible. It's shocking, like, what they've done. So yeah, the gameplay is terrible, though, for real. Like, it's a bootleg Division. It needs a lot more time in development. Not the reception to the gameplay of this game was very negative. People were like, what is this crap? And it does look like a very, very cheap Division clone. With a post-apocalyptic skin over the top of it. But yeah, these 2 games are not the same. So do not write off Michael Mumbauer and John Garvin's Ashfall when they start showing, like, dropping news about it and stuff, thinking that is what you saw on IGN. Completely different games made by completely different studios in completely different parts of the world. So yeah,
that's not even right. That's not
it's
even right.
Shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, they look identical. That's
it's so funny, bro. It's so funny. It's not even funny. It's that funny, if that makes sense. It's like, I mean, it just honestly, the gameplay was pretty shocking. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I said it looks like a bootleg Division with uncanny original Ashfall concept art inspiration. And Michael agreed. He put, "Welp, I'm not sure this is the best way to win the West, but it shows some kind of strategy." I love how he handles it. It's very classy. So yeah, I imagine there's a lawsuit on their hands with that one.
Don't count on that. Chinese copyright law is pretty much non-existent. So if you're a Chinese-based company and you can get your hands on something and you copy it within the boundaries of China, good luck getting a lawsuit.
Really?
Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story, complete divergent from gaming, but quick story on that. One of my cousins used to work for Volvo Trucks, and he was the dealership principal. And Volvo brought out those brand new FH14s, big trucks, 650 horsepower, does a lot of good work. It was a global release. Chinese government bought one, sent it to the factory, stripped it down, copied everything down to the last detail and millimeter, and built the whole fleet for them for themselves. Volvo couldn't do a damn thing about it. And then they started selling them internationally.
It's just shocking, man. Honestly, semantics and bits of, like, I don't know, laws in certain, like, little laws allow kind of shortcuts, and I can't get my words out today. I'm struggling with my brain. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a brain fart. I'm trying to say people can kind of play the system with semantics and did you read the fine print kind of shit and get away with murder. Honestly, it's crazy.
They're not even trying. It's a carbon copy.
Yeah, they're not. Honestly, they weren't. So, dude, they're not even trying with that game. It's shocking.
But the way that things are working in China at the moment, because it's locked up, like effectively locked away from the rest of the world because they censor all their internet and their regulatory approvals are ridiculous. If you keep an eye on some of the analysts that are working out of there, you'll notice that China only approves, their regulators only approve a certain number of games every month. And a lot of the time, those games are only circulated within China. So this, as an example, this copy is very unlikely to be available outside of China. But Garvin and Mumbauer's version is also pretty much never going to get an approval to be available in China. So, and that's the stupid thing about the setup at the moment.
It's flipping crazy, man. I can't. It baffles me.
Not as much of it. Broadly stating, with some minor exceptions, the globalization, the global economy, isn't as global as people think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's looking. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Interestingly, the poll is up. I asked, we know State of Play was awesome, but do you think Sony will still need a big showcase in addition? And 86% have voted yes of 38 votes. So a good 30, 32, 33 people, maybe 30 people have voted yes. And a few have voted no. So I think it's pretty mostly unanimous that we appreciate what Sony have delivered here, and it's put to shame some of the larger, longer events in what they've done and the reactions that they've garnered from the public who have seen these amazing games and amazing reveals, and how they've kept it all so concise within 20 minutes is just nuts. It's a very impressive thing, and they've got a good thing going here with State of Play. But I do feel like Sony revealed the State of Play the day before it went that live. You know, they didn't give people much time to kind of prepare for it. They're very kind of holding back, I feel, in how they communicate with individuals. And NX Gamer made a great point actually in his latest video. Shout out to him. He said that he feels there could be significant improvement made on Sony's part when it comes to their communication and how they how they manage optics and not manipulate, but manage kind of the way that they come across to the public eye. And he also mentions that it's true that he feels anyway, and I agree with him, that people complain far more about Sony because people's expectations of Sony are far higher. You know, Microsoft farts and people go, "Oh, it's amazing! They farted! They did something!" You know? And that's kind of the difference between Microsoft and Sony, is that Microsoft don't really need to try very hard to impress because people's standards for Microsoft are so low. But at the same time, that doesn't excuse Sony.
Me and Social can tell you that there was a dev that stated pretty much the same as you. So even some devs see that.
Wow. Well, NXG says it. I feel it. That dev obviously says it. Go on. Who wanted to speak? Go for it.
Yeah. So I was just going to jump in quickly. The 2 cents that I will add to this. The short lead time. Sony's got this bug in it, bonnet. We've got a bug up their ass about leaks and trying to stop leaks from happening with game announcements and whatnot, because they're just focused on controlling the narrative completely, right? So to get around that, what they did with this particular one for a couple of different reasons. One of the main reasons was they put it up live rather than having it preloaded on the streaming platforms, and they announced it like 24 hours, barely 24 hours before it was to happen, so that key people in key areas where they suspected this leak was coming from wouldn't have time to get in there and go hunting around. And I'm reliably informed that their fishing expedition did catch one of these leakers pretty well.
Okay.
So
that makes
that's
sense.
part.
They didn't want it to leak ahead of time. That's why they announced it so soon, because of that reason. Okay.
Yeah, and all the insiders, I say in inverted quotes, who a couple of days out said, "Oh, God of War will be there. God of War will be there." It's a 50-50 chance it'll be there. And it always baffles me that people jump on and take it as gospel, because if you claim something is going to be there and it's not, your get out of jail card is, they changed their mind last minute. You're not really painting yourself in glory when you're doing stuff like that. But the other thing too is
they announced the state of play the day before, and you have a God of War trailer at the end. I thought that was really odd. Like, you're announcing it that soon, but you're having one of the biggest games of the year and the state of play, and there's no mention. So now I understand why it makes sense.
Yeah. I think you need to have a sit down, and I think you need to have a sit down and talk with Robert Serrano, Folky. Give his head a wobble.
Not worth the time. Not worth the time. Look, these guys make a living. They have to pay their bills off this stuff. That's their choice of career, and that's their choice. I'm not going to hit on them for trying to make a living out of the gullibility of others. Christ, I'd have to go and shit on 2/3 of the bloody sales marketing and all that sort of stuff. The other thing is, and like with what Social was saying, it seems strange to have it at the end. Like, this state of play was basically the lead up the day before Tokyo Game Show started, and there was some stuff being talked about at Tokyo Game Show that's PlayStation relevant. So it seemed a little strange that they were kicking the show off, but they did something similar with one of their state of plays before one of Keeley's big events. I think they did it a couple of days before Summer Games Fest or something. Might have even been earlier in the year. The God of War trailer at the end is odd though, because I see it as that was the big crescendo. Tokyo Game Show is going to happen. Between the end of Tokyo Game Show and God of War releasing, I see it extremely unlikely that PlayStation is going to do a state of play, or I shouldn't say a state of play, but they're going to do a showcase which talks about new games coming after God of War releases. Mm-hmm. My opinion is that I don't think we will get a showcase until after God of War releases. So we're talking about the back end of November, early December. So it's possibly going to have one in and around Black Friday. Because you notice that so far this year, they've hardly spoken about any first-party games except for the ones that are releasing this year.
Yeah.
God of War 4 was supposed to be the last cross-gen PS4, PS5 first-party game. Everything after this was supposed to be PS5 only. And God of War, when they made these decisions, God of War was supposed to be releasing early in the year. So that's where I think this COVID delay. Yes, we're out of the belly of the pandemic, so to speak. We're sort of on the rebound still, but the delay is felt. We're feeling the 2020 impacts this year, and the 2021 impacts we will feel next year, just because the delays in it. It takes 18 months for things to catch up.
Yeah.
So you look at that time frame, and and logically, you would say between the end, like the TGS ends today or tomorrow, between the end of TGS and God of War launching, if PlayStation talk about anything, it'll either be talking about God of War or some indies or some focused little things. I don't know if we'll get another state of play that doesn't talk about just 15 minutes of God of War, like developer chats, developer diaries, interviews, 10 minutes of gameplay, similar to what they did with Horizon Forbidden West. I feel like that's the next logical step, but you don't want to be talking about what's coming next year and showing all that magic that's going to be coming when you're in the middle of the hype train for the current, probably one of the biggest games since the last God of War launched. Like, you think about a game that's out and about there that's going to have that much hype and that much reaction. You saw some of the reactions to the end of that state of play. People are crying their eyes out just for having seen that couple of minutes of it. And they still
moved games outside the release date too, David. Too.
Yeah.
Because of God of War, they've pushed games till 2023 because of the God of War. So yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Retro and I were saying the same thing, that God of War will be the last state of play, and then after that they'll have a showcase for next year.
Well, they need to.
Yeah.
The final part where I agree with yourself, Retro. Actually, I agree with both points, and I think they live quite well together. They need to give us the next 18 months of a roadmap, but at the same time, we know in the next 18 months we're going to get stuff. So it's not a matter of they have to show us because they just have to do it. It's they need to do it because we want to know exactly what it is, so we can plan out our gaming year, so to speak, rather than sitting back going, well, we know we're going to get something at some point, and then they tell us 6 weeks before it's launched. So, but remember, it was the gaming community that when Xbox had their Series showcase launch, tore shreds off them for not showing gameplay, for not showing gameplay in engine, and for talking about stuff that was years and years and years away. PlayStation took notice, and now what do we get? We get all 95% of everything is in-game in engine running, so they don't show us anything that's years and years away. They only show us stuff that's playable and ready to go most of the time, and they'll only show us stuff that's going to be released in the next 12 to 18 months for their first party pieces. So gaming community that complains that PlayStation doesn't tell us enough in advance, they only got themselves to blame for it.
Yeah,
because they keep leaking everything. They keep trying to push, try to give away what they're trying to show at the state of plays. You see it all the time.
Shout out to Twisted Sin. He made a great point. He said, so just to let you know, Capcom announced that more info on Resident Evil 4 remake will be revealed next month. That will probably be in a Sony showcase, since they have the advertising rights. That's a good point, man. Them revealing more next month could very, very much be tied to imply and indicate that PlayStation do indeed have a showcase in store. I tell you what, I gotta give Folky props for this. Folky, you you actually predicted that Sony would drop a state of play just before TGS, right? You said it on the show. I swear you said it, and you were spot on. Is that
it made logical sense. I think my comment was they'll do something in the week between. Did something happen 2 weeks prior to TGS, and I can't remember if it was Gamescom or what it was. But yeah, there was a window of opportunity there, and because PlayStation, it specifically wasn't going to be a first-party presenter at TGS, given them, looking at the cadence of windows of opportunity to do stuff, that gap there was pretty prime. If you're going to do something, we're going to do it then.
Yeah.
Otherwise, as I said, you've got to either do. If they didn't show God of War in that SOP, I'd be sitting here saying, right, they did a Japanese-specific one for TGS. Keep an eye out in the next couple of weeks for one that will end with God of War to start that hype trailer. But they've chosen to do it at the pre-TGS and end it with the hype trailer. And now it would make, if Sony did anything between now and God of War's release that wasn't narrowly focusing on, like, we're going to have a quick look at VR2 titles, or we're going to, for 15 minutes, or we're going to look at a couple of indies for 10 and 15 minutes or whatever it was. They won't talk about anything first party, in my opinion, between now and when God of War launches. So anything that's done, if it's not dedicated to God of War, it's going to be a really small, specific little piece. And I've noted that in the last 6 to 9 months, they'd rather write them on the blog and do a quick little upload on YouTube, 6, 8, 9 minute YouTube thing, than actually put them in state of play. And the best example I can give you of that is Plague's Tale Requiem. That thing has had pretty much no airtime on any of the PlayStation state of plays, but it's getting plenty of airtime on their YouTube channel and on their blog.
Xbox have given it a fair bit of coverage as well, I believe. Yeah. No,
actually, does Xbox have marketing rights to Plague's Tale?
Where did you come from?
Hey, OT.
No.
Yeah. You just stuck in there. I love it.
Just like your racing come from nowhere.
Sorry guys, I had some guests, so I delayed a little bit.
All good. Well, let's intro my boy OT. How you doing, buddy? You okay?
Good, man. It's been fun. Work has been crazy, but today I decided to relax and play some GT, and then we had some guests, and then now I'm here.
I love it.
And you lost, by the way.
Man, I had a baby. By the way, the guy is listening. I had a baby on my chest.
Just you see, every single week.
I had a baby on my chest. There's no way I could be, and I still won. By the way, social, I won you like 3 times with a baby on my chest.
Always something.
So you guys, just to catch up, we are talking about. Just catch me up on the exact topic. It's about Sony showcases.
State of play.
So yeah, we're kind of presenting the question: Does Sony need to do more than these state of plays? Some land really hard, others don't. This one landed really hard, but I think people are the general consensus is. I did a little poll and we had 36 votes, and 80, like almost 90% of people kind of felt like they are missing the big showcases, and. Yeah, it's. I agree, and I think these state of plays have their place to prioritize kind of fast, kind of bam, 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 to generate excitement and hype. But you also need these huge, big showcase events to generate even more excitement and hype. And was it Folky who said this, or? I'm pretty sure it was Folky who said this, that the ironic thing is we know that Sony always deliver, and it's like we need to know what's in store in the next 18 months. We feel the need to know, even though we know we will be getting stuff. And it's kind of a funny dichotomy, that, because it's like, are we entitled to being in the know, or should we just accept what the great games that we
No,
we
I believe we're
consistently get.
entitled. I believe we're entitled to know what's coming.
Facts.
I mean, we've invested in a product. I think the least we could be told is what's coming. You know.
Yeah, it's like shareholders. Shareholders expect to know. And
Yeah.
in a way, we are
But-
shareholders in the sense that we invest our money into this company.
I've started to see a pattern with Sony though, and I don't know when the shift happened. Maybe 1.5 years ago, there used to be a time when Sony would show games very far off, and it created a lot of hype. But then it led to a lot of expectations, which would take too long. But nowadays, I realize they show you what's going to come maybe in a year and a half. So for instance, let me show you an example. When they're marketing Ghost of Tsushima, they give Ghost of Tsushima a lot of spotlight, and then after they're done with that, they go on to Last of Us 2. When they're done with that, they'll move on to the next one. So they sort of block. They don't mix as much as they used to. And what has ended up happening, if you look at Horizon got its time. If you look at what came after GT7 after Horizon, got its time. Last of Us, unfortunately, I felt didn't get enough time, but you're seeing the pattern. It's always, let's finish with one, move to the next. Finish with that one, move to the next. So God of War is coming after Last of Us remake, and again, it's getting a little bit of a short time. But I feel what's going to happen now, once God of War is done, that means Sony moves on to the next. And that's why I agree with David, that next is now showing you what is the forecast for the next 1 year, sort of. And then they'll go quiet and then start doing that fragmentation of, let's focus on, okay, whatever is coming out in March, that's what we're focusing on. So I do think Sony is going to show us a forecast of what's going to happen for the next 1 year in general. There might be a surprise or two, but I've started to see their pattern, and they like to focus on one and then give you an outlook, and then
Roti, hello?
not too worried.
Oh, sorry, you cut off for
sorry.
a minute then, but I think that's my fault with my connection. I'm getting new internet
sorry.
installed, guys, in 2 weeks' time in October. In fact, it's supposed to go live the day my daughter is due, on the 12th of October.
Oh, when is that?
12th of October. So
Wait. 2 days after
so
my birthday.
4 weeks. 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, my internet will be replaced, and hopefully I'll have a far better, more stable connection. But until then, I apologise for the dips when they happen. I have no idea why I have such heavy fluctuations. But OT, you're speaking facts, bro. You're speaking absolute facts.
Yeah. So I think they've decided to fragment their marketing and their portfolio, which is not bad, but I think it means that we do expect at least one big show in December. After God of War Ragnarok launches, I do expect a big show to give us what is their outlook. And I think David had mentioned that they need to do this also for legal reasons, because the shareholders also need to know what the hell is going on. So I'm interested to see.
Yeah.
We don't know what's coming out with the next first party, right? God of War is the last one that I know of, right? From Sony first party, right?
Yeah.
The only other one that's been given a window was Spider-Man 2, but that window is quite large.
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
expect
way
it.
beyond. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't expect it at the earliest until fourth quarter next year. So the December quarter next year is what I'm belief of when it will launch. Based on when they
I'm totally
started and how
expecting a
long it
reveal
takes.
later this year, though. I'm totally expecting a reveal at a
That's the
showcase.
reason
I'm
why.
expecting it to be the kind of marquee Christmas release.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's that, and then because they got Wolverine being developed alongside it, and then you've got, but if you think about, you run through it all. It's a shame Deezy isn't here. You run through all the different lists, and you got Fire Sprite's got 5. 2 of them are ready to go, or will be ready to go, and then you've got another 2 that should happen 12 months after that. You got whatever Deviation's working on. You've got Jade Raymond's game, which is supposedly going to be good to go within the next 12 months. You've got whatever Sucker Punch is working on. You've got whatever Factions 2's got to hit at some point soon. I'm up to about 8 or 9 already. That'll be good to go in the next 12 months. So we know there's stuff in the works. We just, again, it comes back to that point. They need to sit down and explain what the release window is going to be, because we're not going to, if we get 8 first-party games next year, plus all the second and third-party stuff they're doing, they're going to be too crowded, and something's going to suffer. Because the other thing, too, is they don't want to crowd their first-party releases because they're such a big deal. Having The Last of Us Part 1 as close as it is to God of War, I thought that was pretty much right on the boundary of what you would want to do. You don't want to be caught up in that 2-month buying cycle.
Mm-hmm. But then
and that's
VR2, David, also in the first quarter.
Exactly.
So you have all that. We didn't even know. We just knew about Horizon, but we don't even know the full launch yet. It could be however many first-party titles.
There could be multiples of them. And that's the other thing too. And that's why I say, we know we're going to get fed well. We just want to know what's on the menu.
Yeah, that's a really good way to articulate it. And that's absolute facts. We know we're going to be fed well. We just want to know what's on the menu. Absolutely.
And on that,
they don't want to pull any hype away from God of War either. They want to make sure it's focused on that for the next amount of until.
I have a feeling that Retro was spot on when he said that he thinks. Sorry, Folky, you cut off. I didn't know you were talking. Could you repeat that?
No, that's all good. The upcoming God of War game, some of the internal numbers that I've recently been able to get my eyes on, and some of the analytics that are being done outside by some of the big companies that do this stuff for their bread and butter. They got predictions of northwards of 5 million units in the first month, and potentially do 2 million units on day one. So it's generating a fair bit. Now everyone goes, "Oh, that's nothing compared to other games." Like, remember, this thing isn't multi-platform. It's only got a very specific player base that likes to play this game as well. But it's going to do some serious numbers when it launches. And it could be the game that gets to 10 million units the fastest for PlayStation. So, yeah. Anyway, on that note, guys, I'm going to have to love you and leave you. I got other commitments I got to head off to.
No worries, brother. God, we couldn't have your say on Phil Spencer reveals all, but maybe next time.
That's why I'm bowing out early, so it doesn't get himself in trouble.
I'm gutted. Do you want to say a quick piece before you go? If you don't have to, no pressure.
It's difficult. I mean, everyone knows my opinion on Phil, and I still firmly believe he's not the right man to lead it forward from here. He's gotten it here, that's great, but to lead it forward from here, he just doesn't have that killer instinct. He doesn't have that let's just drive this thing home. He seems to be happy to just sit back and let it do its thing, but he's also pissing some major advantages and opportunities up the wall, because he's got at his disposal what PlayStation is trying to still build in terms of cloud infrastructure and cloud gaming and all the rest of that. And he's got a pretty deep pocket that he can pull on if he needs to. What he's managed to do with his whole Activision thing, though, is box himself into a corner where their end result is a subscription service that relies heavily on microtransactions to generate their revenue. And it's very likely that if the thing blows up if Activision blows up in his face, it's going to tear down the entire of Xbox. So basically bet the house on one deal, and Activision, they're not going after Activision or Blizzard, they're going after King to get the money out of Candy Crush, and that's all going to come through from Google and Apple. Mm-hmm. So they've got to be very careful with two of their major competitors in Google and Apple that they don't piss them off and end up with the same problem Epic did. So it's just very precarious, and it's almost locking themselves into a pathway they can't deviate from without causing massive damage. And it'll come down to the shareholders and the boardroom executives. And I don't think Phil's strong enough in the boardroom to get it to get much more than what he has.
Yeah.
Where Azure and the rest of them are just walking down the road in terms of revenue creation, and Xbox is just racking up losses with an outdated business plan that won't get them what they want. But, you know, that's my thoughts on it.
Can I ask you, Folky, before you
go,
just before you
Yes.
go, if you don't mind, what's your take on the idea? And people said it a while back, and I know you've echoed it a couple of times, but if you could just concisely summarize this idea or this take that Microsoft are withholding their figures from the CMA, particularly because it would expose the fact that they are burning through a shitload of cash, that Phil lied when he said Game Pass is profitable. So because Game Pass is basically a Trojan horse to undercut the industry and create a monopoly. It sounded like a tinfoil hat conspiracy to many people, but when you actually really look at the facts and break it down, it seems extremely plausible. And I just wanted to ask your point on this.
What Phil says in public and then contradicts himself 5 seconds later half the time, and what's being said to the regulators, there's a lot of inconsistencies there, and there's a lot of say one thing, do something totally opposite that's happened in the past, and the CMA directly referenced what happened with Bethesda, so he's not going to sweet talk his way around some of these non-US regulators. But the core element or the crux of the whole thing is, for the last 5 or 6 years, Xbox has become such a small part of Microsoft that the losses, yes, they're there, though, that they weren't significant enough to cause, to cause massive notes to be put into their financials. They were making losses, but when you're in Microsoft, you could make a $3 or $4 billion loss in your segment, and it's covered off. Because remember, Xbox is part of Microsoft Gaming, which is part of their personal computing section, which happens to include Surface and a few other home computing bits and pieces, which have low to no inputs and generate a decent amount of revenue. So within that segment's been stagnant for ages, and they lumped them all together so that they didn't have to identify, net operating profit or losses and all that other stuff, as well as protection against goodwill write-downs and all the rest of it. If they segmented them out on the individual level, Xbox would be getting absolutely hammered, and Microsoft Gaming itself would be getting absolutely hammered, because they would be showing large losses and having to take write-downs and all the rest of it. So the way that they've structured their business is to protect one segment by leveraging off a different segment. The problem that, again, Xbox has is it's lumped in a segment that's not exactly painting itself in glory, and when you dig down into the nuts and bolts of it, which you can reverse engineer from their financial statements, you find very quickly that you put some very plausible assumptions against their revenue generation, and at the moment they're probably running a couple of $2 billion in losses. That's not too bad, but they've been doing that for a few years, and they've been getting supported and propped up by other segments. Now, if you take Activision and you shift that into the gaming segment, and you deteriorate that revenue generation because of some of the deals that he's talking about doing and how he's going to do it, all of a sudden, if you're looking at the console piece, you'll drop 25-30% of the revenue out. All of a sudden, you're running a couple of $2 billion loss from that deal. So then all of a sudden, Xbox goes from having a couple of $1 billion to $5, $6, $7, potentially $10 billion worth of losses, and they stagnate their revenue generation. He's back. As I said, he's backing himself into a corner where they're going to be stuck, because they'll need to triple or quadruple their subs and hold the pricing at $20 to $30 a month just to be able to have that baseline to produce anything. And then the next step up from that is the revenue generation for the profitability will come from microtransactions. So standing back and looking at it, that disaster that was Halo Infinite, that could quite easily become the norm of Xbox gaming if they pursue this path. And I don't particularly like that thought. But that's what Phil Spencer's trying to drive, as indicating he's trying to drive towards.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the right answer. But the same management's been in there for the last 4 or 5 years, and they've continuously shat the bed with delivering games, and the ones that they have delivered recently have been fucking disasters. Mm-hmm. So, if you don't change the management, you're not going to change the outcomes.
This is what I don't understand, right? They don't come out with games every year. No launch, no games at all for the year. So how many times can they do that without pissing off the shareholders? Like, it's been consistent. It's not just 1 year; it's year after year. So what does the shareholders say? Like, they obviously piss off, but
Sorry, the shareholders didn't care until about 6 months ago, and the Activision disaster that's happening now, the shareholders are starting to care because the FTC, the CMA, ACCC, the EU, they're all digging into this deal. But by extension, if they find anything they don't like, they can dig into any deal that Microsoft has. And Microsoft's got a shitload of government contracts, which would render them, let's say, not in a good spot in most other areas other than the US. And parts of the EU, that Microsoft are already in big trouble for monopolistic and market manipulating practices. So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're not far off the mark there, but the shareholders have got the shits with it big time.
Yeah, it seems that way. Like, thank you, Folky, for. I'm sorry, I'm having again another spike. Do apologise, guys.
You're right.
Thank you for that, Folky. I'm sorry you got to go. I'm gutted because honestly, I think it's going to be a juicy topic that I know you'd want to sink your teeth into. We've got a lot that we're going to be discussing to paint the whole picture, because the picture's pretty ugly when you get all the pieces and put them together.
Yeah.
But thank you, brother. Appreciate you as always, and thanks for spending as much time as you could with us.
No, that's excellent. Thanks for having me again, lads. I'm just going to do the big handball hospital pass here. When you get onto this subject, make sure you ask the Wolf about how the fanboys are acting, because some of the thoughts that he's shared, with myself in the DMs and with the broader group, I think the podcast listeners would really like to hear some of his takes on how they're reacting and why they're reacting like that.
100%.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Thank you. All right, Folky.
Appreciate it, man.
Take care, brother.
See you, lads.
Cheers.
Take care.
See ya.
Right.
So, guys, you can follow David Faulkner at Folky87. He's a panel member of this show, and everybody who hears him speak, just they always give me feedback about how much they appreciate the logic that he comes out with. But a lot of that's thanks to his profession. He's a financial business analyst and has worked with some of the biggest businesses in the industry, in the world. And it gives him a very objective perspective on the outside looking in at things that we like to talk about, but we'd probably, well, I for one could say don't know that much about, and it's thanks to people like him that we learn. So yeah, follow Faulkner, David Faulkner at Folky87. He's an essential follow, in my opinion, on Twitter. And you can also find him here on the Worldwide Company of Gamers podcast. I'm seeing all of you who are participating in the giveaway. I'm seeing you comment your favourite games and your Icon Era account names. Thank you, guys. I see all of you. Keep doing that. Anyone who hasn't participated yet, know you can. The door's still open for you to win a copy of Metal Hellsinger, or a cash equivalent if I can't get a code for your region. So yeah, definitely get on that. You can find all the information below of Icon Era if you wish to create an account. And all you have to do then is comment your favourite game along with your Icon Era account name to be in the runnings to win. But guys, what Folky said about D-Wolf, I can't wait to pick your brains about that, D-Wolf brother, and you're always welcome. You know, this is an open convo. The mic's always open for anyone to jump in. If ever there's things that you want to say at the moment, go for it. Don't ever feel hesitant to speak. We'll be always ready to listen at the soonest opportunity. But would love to ask you that question about the fanboy narratives very shortly. But let's first of all paint a picture, guys. I'm going to paint a picture with you. We're off to the second topic now. We've discussed state of play, but we need to discuss this bad boy. Phil Spencer reveals all. What has he revealed? What am I talking about? I'm talking about their agenda, their roadmap, their goal. And he's revealed all because he can't keep his mouth shut. He's in this interview, right? He's took part in another interview, right? Another one, where he speaks, but what he says doesn't fit what he said 20 seconds earlier. And he starts to, when you combine this with all the ins and outs of how Microsoft are responding to the CMA, it paints quite an ugly picture. And anyone peddling this as good, they need their heads checking. For real, like, that's not abusive. That's just, you are peddling something that is detrimental to you and every other gamer who are a consumer of these products. You might not think it, but all you're thinking about is, oh, but I can play Call of Duty cheaper than you. Literally, that's what Kidsmove said to me just earlier on today. And that was his literal be-all and end-all, is that he'll be able to play Call of Duty cheaper. And, guys, let's just address this, right? So, long story short, for those who don't know, the CMA have been investigating Microsoft. We know this, but more and more information is coming to light. And there's been some fantastic threads which I've discovered. One particularly from Needless Kane. He's a mutual of mine, and he posted this phenomenal thread which actually kind of made the penny drop and me go, oh shit, this isn't good. And I want to read you guys that thread shortly. But first of all, I just wanted to ask, I wanted to ask D-Wolf regarding the this Activision Blizzard acquisition. Like Folky said, what are the things that you've been seeing being pushed around by what seems to be their professional defense force?
For me, it's a false narrative and a false equivalencies, which I know you've been discussing a lot with many people on Twitter, and just the lack of people going in and really understanding what is happening and why everything matters. My big concern with the whole Activision deal is the impact it is going to have on not only Sony but the whole industry. You know, you're going to have this big title that's going to be locked away eventually, and it's not going to get the revenue in. Now, it's interesting what Forky was saying earlier around how the whole deal is more, or from Microsoft's point of view, they're more focused on the King side of things, which I hadn't actually considered, so I don't have a point of view on that. But look, at the end of the day, what we do on Twitter, what we carry on about, isn't going to have too much of a big impact on what the CMA and all that decide. So I just wonder why some people are pushing the narratives and all the big hoo-ha about what Phil Spencer's end game is and all this. So still trying to work my way through that and work my way through the understanding that some people have with it all. Big
facts. I want to give an example of this damage control. I used my alt account. Yeah. If any of these twonks who have my main account, Woolly Gamer, blocked, by all means, they can also block this one. I'll just create another one. But I do it to find important points from people in the industry and a lot of them seem to have me blocked. Tom Warren has me blocked. Destin Legary has me blocked. You know, I don't have alt accounts for fanboyism. I have alt accounts to screenshot things like this. But just to give you an example, Persona Speaks directly, straight up challenged Destin Legary on if he's been hacked. It was so funny how he said it. And Destin responded, "Why would I have been hacked?" And he says, "Because you seemed. This is the third tweet in the last 20 minutes from you. That's pure fanboy console war." And literally, it's literally, oh, ponies this and Sony fanboys this and Sony and evil and lying Jim Ryan, and literally like all of Destin's tweets are just venomous about Sony, right? And that doesn't offend me. Sony are a corporation. I don't give two shits what he thinks about them. But what I do care about is when somebody is peddling something that has very negative ramifications on a very large player base of dedicated fans, and using false equivalencies and false reasoning to disingenuously push a narrative, and you know full well that they know that they're being disingenuous, that they're being intellectually dishonest. And Destin Legary epitomizes that for me. Like, he really does epitomize intellectual dishonesty. I hope it's intellectual dishonesty, because if he's actually being genuine here and he actually believes the things that he writes, then I'm very, very concerned. I'm very concerned about this industry and the people who, like, anyone can get into gaming journalism if that's the case. Freaking a drunk's dog could get into journalism if this man genuinely believes, doesn't have an agenda, but actually genuinely believes this shit. But, you know, he responded to Persona Speak saying, "You keep saying an entire publisher like I should care." So we've established one thing, right? Destin Legarian doesn't care about an entire publisher being purchased by a platform owner. He doesn't care about consolidation, right? He admits that right there. Like I should care. Where were you when Gearbox was acquired by Embracer? You didn't care because it did not involve Sony. So I had to jump in. I had to. Sorry, couldn't help myself. I typed Embracer and not a platform owner. Yet another false equivalency. And that's true. When a third-party publisher buys a third-party publisher, they're still a third-party publisher. They're not a first-party platform owner. And anyone who goes, "Oh, but Embracer could create their own console," bullshit. Do you know how much money and how much loss that would take in today's economy to create a console and for it to do well? And for it to, what would it be, the flipping, I know, Embracer box with only Embracer IPs being played on it? Just don't give me that shit, right? Embracer couldn't create their own console. They're still a third-party company. They're a third-party publisher, and they're open market for first-party platform owners to consolidate, to liaise with and arrange deals with, right? So that's a straight-up false equivalency. Why would I be upset about a third-party publisher being bought by a third-party publisher? And he put, "Oh, so it only matters if your favourite console maker is involved." Got it. No. It only matters if it was a first-party publisher, if it was a first-party platform owner. I put, it only matters if entire franchises remain third-party to platform owners and are not suddenly bought away from the market by platform owners. Embracer is a third-party publisher. Your whataboutism and juvenile theatrics are not a credit to IGN, my guy. And he responded, "It's not whataboutism when you are talking about industry consolidation worries and don't actively care about any of the other industry consolidation happening. That is called a straw man." You just admitted you do not care about consolidation at all. Then you try and point out a third-party publisher buying a third-party publisher like that's a fair equivalency to a platform owner buying the equivalent of Embracer, right? So I just said to him, Destin, you're strawmanning false equivalencies whilst constantly console warring on Twitter about how evil Sony is for doing what made the 360 the best generation Xbox have ever had to this day. Making third-party deals and second-party games, AAA games, and you're using all of that to try and justify consolidation that removes players. He went silent after that, probably blocked my alt account. But this is an example, guys, of the media damage controlling. What we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. False equivalencies constantly. And Ty Kim, shout out to him, first adopter on Twitter, a very well known guy. How many followers does he have? 52,000 followers. He put, yes, because getting early access to a beta demo and costumes is exactly the same as being worried a major franchise will get locked out of your platform, like what happened with Starfield and Elder Scrolls after a large acquisition. He was actually responding to Tom Warren there, who made a similar false equivalency. It's the same false equivalency being used by all of them. I swear it's like they're the Moomins. They all act and freaking look the same. They all live in a windmill, they're all white hippos, and they all look the same and talk the same and say the same shit. That's literally how they come across. I'm gonna let other people speak. Sorry, go for it.
Well, for me, the issues that I'm finding is okay. Let me play devil's advocate. Jim Ryan is saying this is unfair for PlayStation gamers because they don't get the deal is inadequate for Call of Duty PlayStation gamers. But I don't think Jim should have actually used that approach. Mm-hmm. When I look at it, the issue I am finding with this deal is not that Call of Duty won't be on PlayStation. It's just that where does this end? Because if we look at Microsoft's policy at a publisher, or let me say at an acquisition level, where somebody can just decide, I want to come in, I'm not making profit on my business model, but because I have $1 trillion company backing me up, let me buy EA. And then say you can only play through my Game Pass or my platform. Then I decide, let me buy Ubisoft. But none of these ventures are making profit. Now, I think why the European Union is being more vigilant than the American side is because they're looking at this thing and saying, Microsoft, how exactly is this sustainable? And, a lot of people, Destin is very myopic. He's now, like what you're saying, he's looking at exclusive beta and then comparing it to the publisher. That is, you cannot compare those two. So the main problem is, I'm not saying Jim was wrong, but what I'm saying is Jim didn't address the major issue, which is the fact that $1 trillion company can afford to make losses for decades in the video gaming space. And because of that, lock out the competition. That is really what the main issue is here. Mm-hmm. So for me, I wish Jim had just said, look, guys, I want competition that is fair. But right now, if we were to be able to even have access to look at, is Game Pass honestly profitable? If it is not profitable, how is it possible that the Xbox division is buying a $70 billion company that we who are more profitable cannot afford? And if it is not being backed by Xbox, it is being backed by Microsoft, that is a $1 trillion company. They can make losses for decades. This will destroy the industry as a whole. And eventually what's going to happen is
it's a Trojan,
the Call of Duty developers will suddenly be told, hey, you need to make your game work for Game Pass because our revenue has reduced. We're not going to be paying you to make losses. Our shareholders will not accept it. So I feel like that is where the problem lies. Now, that's why I'm saying some people are criticizing Jim, saying that, hey, Jim, this is unfair because you locked out Final Fantasy VII.
That's not antitrust. It's not antitrust. It's still a third-party IP that Xbox have access to. And this is the false equivalency. Again, carry on, OT.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that is true what you're saying. But you see, if Jim had addressed the monopoly aspect of it, forget saying it's unfair because of Call of Duty. No, this is beyond Call of Duty.
It really is.
That's my issue with it. It's beyond Call of Duty. So Jim sort of just
Didn't
gave a
help himself.
slice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't go the full way. So now they're using Call of Duty and they're trying to equate it to Final Fantasy, and that's not the issue. And that's why I say, even Xbox gamers, imagine if another Google had come in and said, we're buying Activision, and saying you can only stream to play Call of Duty. Then they say, you know what, we're also going to buy FIFA. You can only stream to play it. Everyone would be against it. But why are they not saying the same when Microsoft is doing the exact same thing? It's unfair.
It's extremely
that is the problem, and I feel exactly
big
that's
issue
really
there.
the issue.
The problem that I have is they can't make first party on their own, Microsoft. So if they can't make it on their own, they just feel like they can buy any other.
They haven't tried though, bro. That's the problem. Where are these big second party deals like in for the 360 era? Is that too much to ask? Like, where's the Gears of War? Yeah. Gears of War was second party. It wasn't first party originally. They bought Gears of War later down the line, but you know, Gears of War was an incredible product that was forged from healthy, strong third party relationships. And they gave up 2 years into the Xbox One generation completely, and never bothered trying to fund banger titles to entice people during PlayStation 4's stagnant first 4 years or 3 years to entice people to Xbox One. Yeah, you know, and they gave up, and now it's like, well, fuck it. No, we do care, but instead of starting from humble beginnings again and making another Halo, we'll just fucking buy everything. And
we can't make it on our own. We're just gonna buy all the public. But we can't make any first party games, so let's just buy and buy.
Yeah, facts. But OT hit the nail on the freaking head. He explained it so perfectly and bang on. And, you know, he's echoing here what kind of Needless Kane mentioned. He put, you know, those pesky top secret Game Pass subscriber numbers, net losses and spending sprees for day one content? Microsoft hides from public knowledge. Why do these numbers matter? Because it involves antitrust concerns. And that's the thing. Exactly. Microsoft has hidden their data from the regulators of the CMA and the FTC. They won't show it, because if they did, it would show something major problematic for them. It would show that when Phil said Game Pass was profitable, it was bullshit. They are burning through so much money, it's not even funny, but they've got the money to burn. And what that's doing is that's putting a huge strain on the industry of everyone, on the competition, on everyone, on the entire industry. It's like, if we can't compete, we'll buy. And that's antitrust in a nutshell. He said, how is this related to antitrust?
Exactly.
Microsoft was sued and lost against the US government 20 years ago, right? After copying Netscape's browser, right? Then gave it away for free, burning money by using monopolistic power and cash reserves, something Netscape couldn't afford to compete with, and it put Netscape out of business. So they literally allowed their reserves to just force a competitor in the net space out of business. And you're all celebrating this? When I say you're all, I'm talking about you, Kid Smooth. I'm talking about you, Destin Legary. I'm talking about you, Flipping xCloud Tim Dog. I'm talking about all of you crazy people who seem to be absolutely like bent on allowing this shit to go through and repeat itself, but far more damaging to the industry. Like, why are you celebrating this? What do you get from this? A cheaper Call of Duty? And you think that's worth it? Where's your intellectual honesty, and why don't you give a fuck? I'm sorry, I'm angry. I'm really angry about this. But to continue, Needless King carries on and he says, I've seen people complaining about a lack of big day one releases on Game Pass this year, and that coincides with regulator probes. It's possible that Microsoft temporarily eased upon spending sprees for Game Pass content hoping their income sheets won't look like nefarious undercutting. He's so spot on with this, man. Like, they've dialed back their spending whilst being investigated because they don't want it to clearly show that all they're doing is burning money.
They're burning money. Like even let me give you an example. We all know that Sony and Nintendo have made more money in their lifetimes than Xbox, but yet none of them can afford Activision. So how is it this guy who is last place is buying Activision, is buying Bethesda? There's something not adding up about the money, and that is why they hide the figures. And the thing is, Destin can have his opinion and say that this is unfair, blah, blah. But the good thing, the regulators don't care about people who are as ignorant and foolish as Destin. They want to see the figures, which Microsoft rejected to give. That should have caused a pause. Idiots like Young Ya are busy saying Jim is being unfair, but they are not looking at the figures. That's the problem with this.
They're too busy
gaming.
looking at this shit through the eyes of a 5-year-old child watching Dragon Ball Z. Oh, freaking Sony are looking weak. It's like, shut the fuck up. Honestly, weak. This has nothing to do with weakness and who's moaning the loudest. This has everything to do with the future of the games industry and the distribution of IP.
That's why I was even talking.
Sorry, OT.
That's why I was even asking David Jaffe. I was telling David Jaffe that David Jaffe keeps on saying Game Pass is the future, and I keep telling him, David, please stop saying that without showing us the figures. If the figures don't add up, because the future must be sustainable. If it is not sustainable, then it means it is being backed up by a lot of money that is being burnt. That is monopolistic. So he keeps on saying, don't worry about the figures, you're just the end consumer. No. That doesn't make sense. That's why I say we should look at the figures, understand if we really love this industry. If somebody is burning money to kill the competition, that is not competition. That is actually a form of just killing the competition. That's not what we want. We want genuine competition. And I wish the regulators would come up with a system and say, Xbox, you need to buy publishers or developers using the profits from the Xbox division. Show us those profits or losses. That they will now not be able to buy publishers. This is coming from Microsoft. It is completely unfair. And it can be done by any trillion-dollar company. And if that is unfair for Tencent to do, why is it fair for Microsoft to do? That's the simple logic.
Because they don't have to worry about their losses either. Microsoft doesn't have to worry. They can waste money. They don't care.
Yeah, OT, spot on, and so are you, Social. Retro, you've been quiet, bro. What are your thoughts on this?
They're pretty just mirroring these guys. I mean, they're scared to show them Xbox numbers, man. And it's simple. It's because Xbox can't afford.
Disconnected again. Hold on. Sorry, guys. We just disconnected again for 2 seconds. What did you say, Social Destruct?
I was saying, like Retro was saying, look at all the other divisions that Microsoft has. It's not just game division. It's like you say, software division. Office, all the help. Even operating system, Windows. I mean, look how many divisions Microsoft has. Where Sony,
Xbox.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you look at Nintendo and you look at Sony, they're investing what money comes back into the business,
right?
More than what the business can make.
And again, that's dismissed when people kind of use like, oh, Sony's profits are lower, but their revenue is sky high. It's like, that's the point. They're reinvesting. Yeah. It's like, why is this a negative thing? Why is this something that, would you like them to be like Nintendo, have a far higher profit margin because their output and what their funds and what they actually spend on their games and their products is a lot less? Would you prefer that so that their profits are higher but their revenue is lower? Or would you prefer them to continue this not advantageous business model that they have?
I just got to stop this absolute slander in the comment section right now by 47.
Right, go on. Retro is still shot lost to OT. Oh, shit.
Not a single race tonight did I lose to OT. So take that back, 47.
Yeah, 47. I'm gonna start calling you flipping. Who was the agent who killed 47? Who tried to kill 47? Was it
That's
No. The man is right. The man is right.
The man is not, and you
Retro
know.
did lose.
OT, you are the dirtiest player I have ever met. For real. Like I thought social destruct is bad. No, social. You've got no leg to stand on, brother. You are terrible on the racetrack. You resort to every dirty trick in the book, but the only difference is OT shaved his head bald so that he has extra wind, less wind resistance, and that slightly gives him the edge in shadiness over you. If he wasn't bald, you would be equally as bad as each other. That's how bad you are.
No.
Like, for real.
You see the thing is, this thing is okay. I don't understand what you guys are complaining about. Imagine a 100-meter race. If Bolt is winning you by the 20-meter mark, then there's no chance you can catch up. So how is it possible I am ramming you guys if you guys are ahead of me so far? It means you guys are not driving fast enough. If I am matching you guys in speed,
OT, you have less wind resistance. You have less wind resistance. It's that simple. You can't sit there honestly and say that you're faster than everybody else when you have the minimum wind resistance because you shave your head. This is Gran Turismo we're talking about. Yeah, this is racing. Racing. You cheat.
First of all, I'm not even using a wheel. I've got I had a baby on my chest, sleeping. I had to put her on my left bicep. My bicep was cramping, and I was still whooping your asses. That is a problem.
If I shaved my head, I would. If I shaved my head, I would whoop your ass on the racetrack, OT, and you know it.
I literally won every race.
But you can't talk, Retro. You're tiny, bro. You can't talk. You're like super skinny. Like you've lived off Ritalin your whole life.
No. That's exactly the race drivers are. We're small and nimble and quick.
You're a jockey, bro. No, that's what jockeys are. That's what.
Less weight in the car, less fuel usage. We win. It's as simple as that.
I'm just jealous that I weigh 17 stone. I'm just jealous that I weigh 17 stone and my head is the size of a frying pan, right? I'm really jealous about that. But regardless, I still hold my head up high and say I give you guys fair competition. I'm not shady like you guys and Phil Spencer and Microsoft. But carry on.
Wait, just wait. We have 58 guys who are on the chat right now. We need a poll. You know what, you guys? Since we have 58 guys on the chat, next week, whenever the next podcast is, let us have a race, and then we put that race in the video for this podcast, so people see the replay.
Yeah, me winning. I definitely agree with that. Put that in.
First of all, social. Nobody's talking to you because you're not even in contention. You're not even. Just hush, boy. Just hush. Just silence. The big boys are talking now.
I've put out a poll. Who's fat? Who is better, Wooly, OT, Social, or some guy called Retro? OT. You're such a hoe.
You're the little man.
I'm disgusted.
Low PP level. What it is.
No, I'm gonna start recording our fucking races. I'm not having this.
Yeah, all right. I feel like a confession is to be made here. Retro is the most consistent best racer on Gran Turismo 7. There, I've said it. He is.
Although
that is bull,
beating Retro a couple times.
But beating Retro a couple of times, you sound like an Xbox right now. Oh, Microsoft have released a couple of games, like that makes them the best platform. Stop it. Just because you beat him a couple of times doesn't mean that you're better than him.
You know what? Even look at the comments, man. You see, Javan has said it's me all day.
Listen,
I don't know why you guys
guys, you need to realize something, right? Everyone in the chat, you need to realize something. OT is like Phil Spencer. He's a snake oil salesman, right? What about the guy? What about the guy with the Mustang? Social. He owns a freaking Mustang. Is that not going to influence your decision on this poll? No. It's so fickle, honestly. At least I'm like third. I'll take that. You know, I'm never first or second, but
Nah, that's not true.
Pretty expensive.
Plenty of races where it all chops and changes, especially when social or OT is being dirty.
yeah. Mind you, we shouldn't start defending each other here. We were supposed to be at each other's throats, and suddenly we're all like coming back into this kumbaya. No, don't say that. You're still amazing.
I'm better than you all, and I know it. I'm just being humble.
I love it. Humble and honest. Anyway.
Last one is you've got a big head. He's bald. Social can't race.
Who was the guy who commented that triggered this whole conversation in the first place? 47. Look at what you've just done, brother. Look at what you created. This monster, right? Honestly, you owe the podcast an apology for this.
How about 47 in a racing league and join the lobby?
Yeah, 47. That's it. That's your punishment, bro. You got to join the league, right? So reach out to either Retro or Social Destruct, or OT. They kind of focus on the league far more. I've got my hands full with the podcast, but reach out to any of them and see if you can get GT7 and join us, bro. It's a great time. It's open to everyone, so you can jump on this Gran Turismo league. It's going really well. I know Social and Retro are especially happy with it, as they kind of co-founded it and whatever. It's a great time. So yeah. Anyway, let's get back onto onto the show, right? Social, that's the proof. You 3% voted for you. Only 3%. That means you are certified the worst driver. You are certified the worst driver. I'm only kidding. All
right, moving on.
Where were we? Where the hell were we, guys? Oh my days.
Right. That's where we were.
We were on such a good rant about flipping Phil and Microsoft. But OT
Smoke and mirror Phil.
Yeah, OT and Retro and you Social, like all of you have hit some amazing points. D-Wolf, what's your thoughts on this? Do you wanna add to it?
The only thing I wanted to say is with OT talking about the monopoly and why Jim's not calling it out, I actually understand why Jim's not calling it out. I mean, if he comes out and says, hey, this is a monopoly and the concern, that's a big call, and he's going to have some serious information to back it up. I know everything pointing in that direction. I actually think that's the case, but for someone in Jim's position to come out and say that is going to be, I can't see any way that can be a good thing for him. And I think the things he's saying are indicating along them lines, and CMA, FTC, and all that are very aware of Microsoft's past dealings. So, yeah, hopefully that's been looked at. In regards to Destin, and look, it's not just this guy; it's so many on there. I mean,
yeah, it's
he's either pushing.
It
really is.
It's all of them, yeah.
I mean, he's either pushing something he doesn't believe in, which makes him a corporate shill. Being driven by the almighty dollar. I mean, that's a concern in and of itself. If he does believe what he's spewing forth, then basically he's an idiot and he lacks integrity. Like, he needs to really learn what he's doing. I honestly think that he's pushing some kind of agenda, pushing some kind of agenda towards controversial topics. This is either to inflate his own ego or to get the clicks to his platform. Which is really concerning because he does hold a pretty big platform, and people do listen to what he has to say for some reason. But it's just why I don't engage with him. I just find them all disingenuous, and that worries me because I know I'm creating my own echo chamber. I'm talking to guys that had pretty much the same opinion as me. But what I like is those opinions are often debated and nuanced, and it's a proper discussion where we don't always agree on things, but we do it out of respect, and I don't think that's what's lacking on both sides of the camp these days. Like, we get into these constant arguments, and it's about proving who's right and who's got the best point of view on things, and it's just shutting things down. So there's got to be way of dealing with all this crap. And I don't think Twitter's a platform, but it's the best one we've got at the moment.
NXG, facts, brother. NXG, I was talking to him earlier on, and he made a, honestly, watch his latest video, guys, that he uploaded. He started to upload videos where he gives his thoughts on the latest outrage or latest events as well. And I can't tell you, mate, I'm so happy about that. Like, he's got such a level head and a great mindset, and we're actually talking about having him on the show again very soon, which we're excited about. He'd love to be back on, which is honestly like a huge kind of, I don't know how to explain it, endorsement for the show. But NXG, he said that, Microsoft's, what they do is the Rockefeller MO. They buy your competition, they reduce your operating costs, or they close you down. Consolidating the market, so you dictate the supply and price fix. The change here is that Microsoft take the same business model as pharmaceutical take, not cure the illness, but treat it. They don't sell games, they rent them digitally. And it's such a potent point that he says there, and he couldn't be more spot on. Microsoft want to capitalize off a very controlled environment where they have the monopoly, and you cannot tell me that is just that is conjecture, right? Because look at this, right? First of all, I don't know whether they're just outright lying here, or whether they're just not in the know and they're just plain stupid. Faulkner brought this to my attention, and Ty Kim is actually echoing Faulkner's words here, and he's spot on. But Faulkner said this a few days ago, that Microsoft claimed that the key reason was King, why they wanted Activision, was mobile, for Candy Crush, etc. But Candy Crush is like not even popular in the Japanese market. It's not popular at all. Like, so it's all US based, and it's like, so they're just kind of like cannibalizing their own market in terms of spending all this money to attract the market that they already have the strongest presence in. And we all know that the real reason why they're trying to acquire Activision Blizzard, it isn't, as Ty Kim says here, it isn't for Candy Crush or King. It's for, I mean, Faulkner was on, I'm not going to say the name because I do respect one of the panel members and a lot, and I really like the guy, but I don't know the rest of them. But the shit that was being said, David Faulkner was guesting on a podcast the other night, and the shit was being said, they were celebrating King as like the biggest win. And I'm like, why are you celebrating a mobile company like that's a huge win for you? Like, what are your priorities anymore as a gamer? And he said here that at least this UK CMA knows what happened in the past. And he shared this, and this is an important point that I wanted to read to you guys. The CMA considered Microsoft's broader strategies as evidenced by its internal documents and historical course of dealing following similar transactions in the past. And it says here in the highlighted text, the CMA notes that Microsoft has followed this approach in several past acquisitions of gaming studios, where it made future game releases from those studios exclusive in consoles to Xbox, such as the upcoming Starfield. And based on Microsoft's public statements, Elder Scrolls 6 from Bethesda, a studio Microsoft acquired as part of its $7.5 billion acquisition of ZeniMax in 2021. So they plan to make Elder Scrolls exclusive. They made Starfield exclusive, but didn't they say just 2 years ago that exclusives were counter to everything Phil Spencer stands for? Isn't that what he said? But look at this, what he says here. Look how he dodges the question and contradicts himself completely. And this is something that I really feel like I can't stress enough. This is where Phil Spencer truly reveals all.
I suppose over the last couple of weeks, and that is this ongoing stoush with Sony when it does come to regulation. I've got to ask you, if you ask Sony, if you hear from Sony, obviously we know what Jim Ryan is suggesting, that the 3 years isn't enough in terms of providing for Call of Duty, and it's something that the regulators are now obviously going to be looking at. Can you not just provide that clarity and just say, hey, we'll make it available in perpetuity?
Yeah, I can't talk a ton about where we are in regulatory just because of the mechanism that is. You know, I've said out there publicly to our fans and our customers, which is where our strongest commitment is, that our expectation is that we'll continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation and other places where people see, and hopefully expand the number of places that people are playing all of our games.
So let's just focus on that point. Phil Spencer's doubled down there and says that he wants to commit Call of Duty on PlayStation and keep it on PlayStation, right? He's still being slightly vague. He's not saying permanently, in perpetuity, or anything like that. But he's doubling down that they want more people to play wherever they play on. Okay.
That's been our goal. We put the player at the center, and through technologies like cloud, through shipping day and date on PC, our expectation is the games that we're building will be played by more players going.
He's doubling down that. Sorry, I'm hearing my own voice here. What's going on? I'm hearing my own voice being played. Social, is that you? Hello? Everyone's muted.
We're on
All right.
mute,
Oh,
mate.
sorry. If you could remute as we're watching. Sorry, guys. Thanks. Sorry.
Is that people are playing all of our games. That's been our goal. We put the player at the center, and through technologies like cloud, through shipping day and date on PC, our expectation is the games that we're building will be played by more players going forward. And that's our goal with all the games that we're building today.
But can you, and then Sony users still have to pay for Call of Duty, that could create problems as well?
You know, when I look at something like Game Pass specifically, I think it's the output of competition in our market. We sat back as Microsoft and Xbox, and we thought, how can we innovate and create value, as you're talking about as a Game Pass subscriber? Thank you. How can we provide value to players? And we came up with a new model for customers building out their library of games, and gamers love it. I think that's what competition is about. Competition is about driving competitors to innovate, driving competitors to do new things like cloud, like subscriptions, like building new intellectual property. And I think everything that we've been focused on is how do we compete effectively and how do we deliver more value to our customers?
So, sorry, let's just continue.
But you understand the fear, right, considering with Bethesda and then making a raft of the titles exclusive, that Sony's probably having, thinking that this is going to be round two when it does come to that in terms of Activision's IP.
So that question there, he asks the killer question here, but you say that about delivering more value to more players and opening up these games to more people, but you said that about Bethesda. You want more people to play these games, not less. They were your literal words, Phil Spencer, and then you made them exclusive as soon as the deal landed. So can you understand Sony's concerns? So that was the question raised. Let's hear Phil's response, shall we?
You know, exclusivity of titles has been something that's just been a backbone of our industry for an awful long time. We made a move a few years ago that when we ship our games, we're going to ship them on console and PC. We obviously make them available to almost anybody with a web browser today. You can go to xbox.com/play and play our games via the cloud. So we're about giving access to our games to more players going forward. That's our goal. So when we think about exclusivity for us, we're going to have exclusive titles on Xbox. We do today. It's part of our platform to drive affinity for what we do. But we want those games to end up being played by more players than they've ever been played before. And we build out the technology and business model innovation to make that possible.
So let me get this right. You think that tens of millions of established buyers of these IPs and over 100 million in total potential customers, if not existing customers of these IPs, removing them from a service but making cloud that's accessible via mobile available to several billion potential customers is innovation and is fair competition and is increasing the number of people who play your games. if you want more people to play your games, not less, then why are you removing these games from an established player base who buy those games? It makes zero freaking sense what you're saying, Phil Spencer. It doesn't make any freaking sense.
What annoys me the most is his bloody term of innovation, and he wants them to innovate. I mean, they've done nothing of it. They've basically gone in, ripped the heart and soul out of gaming, and tried to package it up in a nice bloody gift box. Now, I've actually gone over this and, just a little thought experiment and tried to look at it from the point of view of Microsoft and, try and put a positive spin on it. But I really can't. I mean, you look at everything that they're doing, and it all comes back to it's going to decimate the industry. They're trying to create that monopoly that Odie was talking about earlier. Billions of dollars at the industry to get into a position where 5 years, 10 years down the track, the industry, gaming as we know it is not going to be enjoyable, not for me at least, and going to be shallow cash grabs. It's going to be basically mobile gaming is everywhere, even on consoles. Shallow, fucked up games that, you just are no fun, no experience, microtransactions bloody up the woo-ha, and I just don't like where it's going, and something needs to be done, and I hope, honestly, I think the best course of action here is Microsoft goes away from it, from gaming.
Go on, Social. Big facts, DeWolf.
No, I was saying the quality of the game suffered too, because there's no care and thought about the game anymore. That we're just going to put it on every device we can, monopolize it. Mobile service, microtransactions. The quality of the game suffers because that's what Microsoft wants to do. They want a subscription service.
At the end,
go on. You look at the ethos that they're pushing as well. Like, I think, look, let's not kid ourselves. All these companies are out there to make money. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Tencent, all of them are out there to make money. Weren't the bloody idiots. But I think the difference we're seeing is, a lot of these other game developers, when they develop games, they're looking at how do we make this game entertaining? How can we make sure that it's going to be consumed by, gamers like us? Which means that we make our money. Whereas I think what Microsoft are doing is how can we make money and how can we leverage games to make it that money? It's that, initial ethos, that standpoint that they start from is, totally backwards, and I think it's starting to show, and it's going to continue to show.
Yeah, big facts. There's one thing that we just need to remember is that being established gamers and tens of millions of actual buyers, whilst peddling the idea that the potential customer base has increased in number and size by this venture because of the cloud. But potential customers doesn't equate to actual customers or player base. Cutting off 100 million established gamers and tens of millions of actual buyers of these IPs that have existed for, in some cases, decades on a platform and are now removed. All future iterations of those franchises are gone. And to use that kind of semantic as a justification, how is that not counter to everything you stand for, Phil? But exclusives are counter to what gaming is about? Make that make sense. How is... let me get this up for you. How are exclusives counter to what gaming is about, yet exclusives are also the backbone of Xbox? We all know that, but it wasn't PlayStation gamers who were criticizing exclusives from ever existing. But it seems to be all I see on Twitter right now is people accusing exclusivity deals, second and third party exclusives, and even in some cases first party licensed exclusives like Spider-Man, Death Stranding, first party IPs, not second party or third party IPs. These for you guys to call those things anti-consumer. I feel like there's a severe duality here. There's a severe cognitive dissonance. If exclusives are counter to what everything gaming is about, but the Bethesda deal was made to bring you, the player, great exclusives on every platform where Game Pass exists. That's what he literally said about Bethesda deal after it went through. And then when you read this article as well, which says for that reason exclusivity has been the elephant in the room ever since the buyout. It's been confirmed that the next year's Starfield, arguably the biggest game of 2022, will be Xbox and PC only. Spencer says he sees the same for Elder Scrolls 6. In his eyes, Xbox is the whole experience. Xbox Live, Game Pass, cloud gaming, friends list, save states. Does that not sound like a monopoly to you? It's not a monopoly. It's not about punishing any other platform. No, it's just about removing every freaking game from them. Like, I fundamentally believe, this guy literally says, I fundamentally believe all of the platforms can continue to grow, he says, but in order to be on Xbox, I want us to be able to bring the full complete package of what we have, and that would be true when I think about Elder Scrolls 6. That would be true when I think about any of our franchises. Now, some have peddled this idea that Phil is basically hinting at here, that he wants Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation permanently, but only accessible through the cloud, streaming, not native.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Does that sound like a quality experience? A fast twitch shooter via streaming?
No. That's what I'm saying. The quality drops. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get the same quality.
Big facts.
And it's evidenced at the moment. I was going to say, like, the problem with it all is it's very black and white thinking. You know, people are either saying, well, you're either saying exclusives matter, therefore we need to have all exclusives, or exclusives don't matter and we need to shut them out. The problem is you need to have that balance. So with exclusives, I don't care what anyone says. If exclusives didn't exist, the gaming industry wouldn't exist. We need exclusives to have a great gaming experience, and we need competition. I want Microsoft to be as successful as possible because I want them to keep pushing the industry, and I want them to keep pushing Sony to be better, Nintendo to be better, and that's only better for us. But we need exclusives on platforms to be able to differentiate and to drive that competition. But we also need those third-party games from Activision, Ubisoft, EA, and all that to, flesh out the game experience. And you can get them on, all the different consoles depending on where they do it. But it drives that exclusives, to make those exclusives more desirable and force the competition in there. If you're going to go all exclusives or all not exclusives, the industry's fucked.
Mm-hmm. But why is there even mention of Sony first-party studios from Xbox fans? Because if Xbox had first-party games for their platform, then they have first-party. Keep them. That gives me incentive to get a Series X because you have first-party, but they don't. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. They don't have first-party titles.
People like to say, well, what else could Xbox have done? And I'm like, if you really think that 70 billion couldn't have done anything else but buy Activision, you're off your head. What planet are you on? Like, could not 70 billion have funded incredible banger exclusive games?
A first-party exclusive,
but not just first-party, third-party. Nothing's wrong in third-party exclusives. That's not antitrust. Those exclusives, if they're new IPs that you have created with a third-party developer. You are funding that developer to make great games. That is improving that developer in their ability, technical ability. That is also fueling and funding their success and sustaining them as a developer. And it's also making the industry grow, right? There is nothing wrong in third and second-party exclusivity deals and funding these projects and games at all. But oh man, I've lost my train of thought all of a sudden. That's it. But couldn't Microsoft used to do that with the 360, and that's what made 360 so freaking good. They used to fund those second and third party exclusives, and
they also
had and they still do. Gone. They still do, but just on a far lower scale because they're far cheaper games to fund. They're just like Scorn. And etc.
You know what I find interesting is if you listen to Phil's interviews. There's this interview he did recently with a lady, and he said that when Satya called him in and asked him, "Why are we in the console business?" Phil had to take a couple of days and come back with a good answer as why is Xbox there? Because Phil has confessed Xbox did really bad last gen to the point they nearly were out of the console industry. So that is a fact. That is a statistical fact. Xbox were doing so bad they nearly were out of the console industry. Yet this year they have come back with a vengeance and buying the most popular third-party publisher. Let me say third-party first-person shooter. But you know what I find interesting? In the same interview, Phil said, what was it that provoked Microsoft to get into the console industry? And he said it was out of fear. The original guys feared that the entertainment industry through the home was a way to dominate, and they feared Sony would become too big. At that time, that's how Microsoft viewed the video gaming industry. So right now, I wonder, what is Microsoft's view after COVID, when the video gaming industry blew up, was even breaking records beyond the film industry? Are they suddenly getting a renewed interest in this? And that is why they are saying we are willing to spend billions, even if it means we make losses. But long term, we see profits, which no other company can do. So I think those are some of the dangers that are definitely in the monopolistic section of business. And that's why I think people need to be very careful. Sorry, guys, I need to go because of the baby. But I would urge guys to really think hard about the practices Microsoft are doing. Could Nintendo do them? Could Sony do them? Could Sega do them? Why is it only Xbox can do them? That is why there's an anti-monopoly body that is investigating this.
Oti, you've spit nothing but facts and wisdom tonight, brother. You've been on fire. I got up a slight this picture that was in the DMs of you holding Master Chief's head. It's a fantastic photo, and I thought I'd just showcase it whilst you were talking, because it's like, you know, when you speak, we all just shut up and listen, and really appreciate you, brother.
That was Retro.
Yeah, man.
Retro made that picture.
I voted for that loser.
It's fantastic. I want to know who actually made this picture.
Me?
Oh, Retro, it's perfect, man. It's just beautiful. Seriously, it's phenomenal.
Okay.
Take care,
guys,
brother.
man. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Take care, bro. Look forward to beating you tomorrow.
Oh, whatever, man. Tomorrow you're dead, man. You're dead.
Yeah, shave that head of yours,
All
Oti.
right.
You need all the help you can get. Right.
Shave your balls, guys. That's the only way. Shave your balls.
My balls slow me down anyway. They're too heavy. They're so big. Anyway, carry on, bro. Much love.
Okay, bye.
Bye, bro. Gotta have a bit of shit talking now and again with your friends, aren't you guys? I love it.
It's to be done, man.
Yeah, big facts. But that was King OT speaking. Guys, you can follow him at OT and a whole load of numbers on Twitter. That's his handle. I'm joking. Just type in OT on Twitter and you'll see that beautiful bald head of his, and give him a follow. He's a man of wisdom, definitely. So yeah, guys. I mean, we've extensively covered this now. I think the picture's kind of set here. We've OT kind of summarised the crucial point really well as well. You know, Phil has backtracked on everything he said. Now exclusives do matter. They're a staple and a backbone to the success of Xbox, and that's what Phil's saying. But how he's going about getting these exclusives now isn't how they've ever been got before. It's never before in the history of gaming has a platform owner bought away vast amounts of IPs to lock them into a subscription service that are no longer third party and aren't accessible to the market. It's never been done before, and it's extremely worrying, especially when evidentially Microsoft refusing to show their numbers implies they are seriously burning through a lot of cash to do this, which implies also that their agenda is a Trojan. It is literally, we'll keep burning the money that we've got because we've got it until the competition gives out. And it's not looking good. So let's hope in the CMA and the UK especially, who seem to really have the head screwed on with this, are kind of considering all of this impact, as well as the potential impact it will have on new entrants into the industry as well. Go on, Social.
No, as the industry as a whole, yeah. I just don't like the thought that where people are celebrating monopoly, the monopolization in the industry.
Yeah.
It seems like from the Xbox platform side.
I got to be honest, Social, I'm becoming a little bit disillusioned with this gaming community now, fam. Like, I find the priorities that these individuals have aren't the priorities that gamers would have if they actually gave a shit, you know?
And that's really evident as well, Wooly, because, you know, like, they're spewing these narratives like $70 games are bad, you know, Sony's, you know, shit themselves in foot by putting that price increase, yet they're still selling out of the games. They're still, you know, I mean, last week Sony and Nintendo were the top 5, I think, in the charts. You know, they still can't keep the consoles on the shelf. So, you know, true gamers, the gamers that are out there consuming these products, they're still happy with what they're getting, despite the narratives being pushed by, you know, people like Destin, etc.
Yeah. But yeah, big facts. Couldn't be more spot on. So yeah, guys, go on. Sorry, bro.
Sorry, can I just say I really like. I've been reading the chat through there, and it's really interesting seeing people talk about what that $70 billion could have been spent on. And I think Microsoft have been very lazy, just going out there and getting these developers, the publishers. And you know, if they put that $70 billion into actually growing their own thing, you know, and I know the word organic gets thrown around, but you know that's applicable here. You know, getting some good talent in, making some good games, you know, forgetting about the day and date, because that's just going to kill them. That $70 billion could have been much better spent, I'll tell you that. And I'm no financial analyst like Falky.
Yeah, it really could. It really could. Shit's shocking, bro. Anyway, is everyone happy with that? Is there anything else that you want to say on this cluster F of serious kind of anti-consumer business practices? Anti-competitive business practices.
Yeah, fuck Microsoft.
Pretty much,
Man,
yeah.
Honestly, like, for a show that tries to stay neutral, I'm right there with you, bro. Like, I could not agree more. Like, for real, like, this isn't about console wars. This isn't about whose favorite box is what. This is literally about the survivability of the industry as we know it, because of the taking away of vast IPs from the market that are available for all to capitalize off and to profit off is such a dick move, man. It's not even funny. So yeah, I think
And can I just say that
people should curb their fanboy when they hear this being challenged and contended. Go on, mate.
I was just going to say, yeah, I totally agree. Fuck Microsoft and fuck Xbox. They're really screwing over. But I know the chats I've had with all of you guys behind the scenes, and that, you know, it's not as simple as that. We want Microsoft to do better, but we just don't see them doing that at the moment. So, I just make sure that people realize it's not a fanboy response. It's like we want the industry to do better, and Microsoft's not doing that. So fuck Microsoft.
People are acting like they don't want Xbox to be like they were in the 360 era, and I just call bullshit. I just like, do you not want great you know what everyone sounds like now? Those who defend Microsoft and Microsoft themselves, and all those who peddle like Activision going exclusive and being on the cloud for PlayStation games in the future, they all sound like Activision themselves when they flipping peddled what's the name, Diablo Immortal for mobile. Do you not have phones? And that's literally their response when the PC player base was like, what, like, this isn't coming to PC anymore, like, this isn't a PC game. It's like, do you not have phones? It's like, well, okay, we'll remove Call of Duty from being played natively on PlayStation. It's like, well, I'm not happy with that. Well, what, do you not have phones? Like, you're becoming a freaking meme, guys. Say the shit that you guys are saying, like whether it's Destin Legary or, and you know, there is a real worrying kind of example. There's so many examples of how the media are on full damage control about Xbox and how everything Sony can't do right for doing wrong. All they're good at is making great games. That's all they're good at. That's a recently memed quote from Kid Smooth. Shout out to him. Right, all they can do is make great games. It's like, ugh, God, like fuck that. Don't want great games, guys. You know who wants great games? We're only gamers, right?
That's all I want them to do.
Yeah, but you type in demo PS5 into Google, right? And demo Xbox, right? And look at what comes up. Sony forcing devs to make free 2-hour demos. Sony might require devs to offer 2-hour demos. Sony is reportedly telling developers to create time-limited demos. Sony now requires devs to make time-limited demos. PS Plus makes you pay for demos. Sony reportedly now requires some developers to make demos. Right? Now consider how they phrase it for Xbox. Xbox allows devs to add their demos to Game Pass. Project Moorcroft is Microsoft Xbox announces incentive for demos to build for developers to build demos. It's okay for developers to put their playable demos of a game on Game Pass. Am I missing something here, or are not Sony and Xbox doing the exact same fucking thing? They're both paying developers for the demos that they make and release early on their platforms, but one is considered forcing developers, and the other is allowing devs and ingratiating devs and incentivizing devs. And this is a clear-cut example of how the media is twisting the shit to fuel a dishonest narrative. And you cannot convince me that these guys are not on the payroll. There's no other way about it. Polygon, who talk this shit about Sony, it was revealed that their editorial chief, basically the head of Polygon, edits and evaluates and changes anything he wants in every review. And he actively does that. And one journalist got so vexed by it, for his reviews being edited constantly by the chief, by I think his name's Justin, I can't fully recall his name, don't quote me on that, that he blurted it out on Twitter about the full control that the CEO of Polygon has over every single thing that goes out. No, so it's not an opinion piece, it's not a review from a reviewer, it's literally a review that's changed to fit how the head wants it, what the head wants it to say. And I ask you this: why is this guy, the head of Polygon, so interested and so invested in changing what these things say? Well, the writing's on the wall. Go on. Sorry.
How does forcing a dev to put their demo out there logical? Like, they're trying to get the word out for their game. Of course they're going to put a demo out. Like, how is it?
They're paid for it too, bro. Like, they are paid for it. That was clarified. PlayStation pay devs just like Xbox do. But you don't see that being clarified in these articles. All you see is PlayStation force devs. And it's like, it baffles me. It's crazy to me that, how the complete duality of how they represent each company, it's clearly kind of to spin a bias. It's to spin optics. It's to control and manipulate optics. And
that's what it is.
And Polygon's head is so invested in what goes out that he controls every single thing. You can guarantee that he takes underhanded payments to influence what he allows to be said about what product. And if Polygon does it, then it's absolutely guaranteed that other people do it too. If Polygon is on that whitelist for bribery, then is not IGN, is not, these other huge outlets who are bigger than Polygon. It's common sense, it's logic. Of course they are. If Polygon is, and literally a Polygon journalist vented on Twitter, I'd have to find it, about their experience, and it revealed an awful lot of ugly, shady business practice going behind the scenes. So it's kind of evident when you do simple Google searches like this what the situation is here. So yeah, it's pretty shocking, to be honest. And now you know why second party AAA Xbox exclusives aren't funded anymore, because they're too busy spending that money on optics rather than games.
Studios we can buy instead of games.
Yeah, facts. So yeah, that's an example, guys, just to give you some clarity on what we're talking about here. Like, this shit really happens, and it's not good. It's not cool for the industry at all. But God forbid I care about the industry because I'm a passionate gamer, right? We only try to flip and interview industry veterans on this show, and people kind of like throw insults and shit on Twitter, like as if you really care about the industry. All you care about is the games that you play on your favorite box, and it's the irony. You say that whilst defending this acquisition of Activision baffles me. So let's finally just talk about PSVR2. Social, I know this is your thing. You love PlayStation. You love VR. You're a huge advocate of it.
Shit, man. Goddamn fake outrage. Sorry, man. It's just fake outrage. It really is, because this whole idea, that article that came in, first of all, is misleading. It's not that they can't play VR1 games. It's the fact that the devs have to upgrade the game to play on VR2. It's not that they can't play VR1. It's up to the devs to support VR2 and upgrade it for, however they decide to do that. They're not going to have every single VR1 game on VR2 is being unrealistic. You have to think of the tech that's involved. They didn't make the VR1 with the VR2 in mind. At the time in the industry, VR was in its infancy. Like, the market didn't even know how VR was going to be. If it was sustainable, is it going to stay? Is it a niche market? And it did well. So PlayStation decided to do a VR2 because of how the market is with VR. But just to try to get VR1 titles on VR2, the whole library, when you're dealing with completely different tech, it's not even the same tech. It's a huge leap from what we had before. It's not a VR1 Pro. It's a VR2. It's the next level of fidelity, eye tracking, the phobia, the vision, how they get the 4K. It's where the peripheral vision isn't 4K, but what you look at, centered as far as clarity wise, as far as this phobia of vision. I forget the full name, but yeah, just the fake outrage with what's going on right now. So again, that article is misleading. It's not that it can't play VR1. It's just whether the devs want to actually support VR2 and actually upgrade the software to do that, to be on VR2. So that's what I got from that article, just the fake outrage online through Twitter and social media. So.
Yeah, big facts. Was somebody going to say something then? D-Wolf, was that you, or was I hearing things?
No, it wasn't me, but right, I just want to back up what Social was saying. Like, it's like when I first read the article about, PSVR1 games don't come, and I'm like, ooh, this is not good, because I was really looking forward to playing them. Done a bit of research and found out, the stuff that Social was saying, foveated rendering, the controllers, just whole everything. I'm like, okay, fair enough, that makes sense. And but people aren't willing to read up on stuff. And I notice you've got Deezy's rant up on the
Oh,
screen at the
mate,
moment. And
DZ isn't here
anyone
tonight,
that wants
but
to know about it, yeah, anyone that wants to know about it, go read that. He just nails everything, and he does in such an awesome way. And he says in that little rant more than I could ever say, and full props to him for it.
Well, to be honest, dude, Wolf, the VR1 titles, like when VR first started, it was mostly shovelware. Like there really wasn't that many AAA titles. There was some here and there. It wasn't, there wasn't many really around. It was, 3-hour games. It was just Steam. Their library of VR, it was all shovelware. The PS VR1, I mean, it did have good games, but they were far in between. It was mostly shovelware, limited, not demos, but not really full campaigns. You know what I mean? It wasn't really, the software really wasn't there.
Yeah, big facts.
Like it is now.
It's almost like it was a beta, and I think I said that to you, Social. PSVR1 was basically their beta. They put it out there, work out what they can do, work out what they need to fix up, and then go from there. And from what I'm seeing from PSVR2, and from people that aren't just PlayStation fans, but real VR fans, the big guys, they're bloody excited about what they're seeing, and they're loving it. So I can't wait to get my hands on it. I've got the cash put aside. I'm waiting for those pre-orders to come.
Yeah. There's also been, from the guy who actually leaked the original specs of PSVR2, and he was spot on with them, the same guy has revealed that apparently ports are being made of old PSVR titles. They're literally working on native ports for PSVR2 as we speak, a significant number of developers. And, either way, I think DZ's point and what you've just said, DWolf as well, and Social, all kind of hits the mark and hits the nail on the head here. DZ went on a fantastic rant. I posted the link in the chat, actually, for you guys to look at. It's just a few posts up. You can see it, the link to Twitter, DZ Dev. He was so spot on. He goes through a whole list of significant hardware innovations and upgrades of the PSVR2 over the PSVR1, whilst also highlighting the fact that the PSVR1 wasn't forward compatible. And you can't expect, games. Here we go. He says, there are many reasons why it isn't backwards compatible. The games were made with technology that was not forward compatible. And after going on this whole kind of specs list, with a field of view and stuff, which would also impact games. Like, you can't have a huge field of view bar. Imagine having a wide field of view, FOV, but the game that you're looking at is limited to the old field of view. There are so many things to consider here on how this technology works. And people are so quick, he says here, this is a point that I really want to bring home. He's not here with us tonight, DZ, but as you know, he's a panel member, and he definitely gets a chance to speak even if he ain't here, because we're gonna just read this little bit here. He says, gamers love to simply think everything in hardware, software and game development happens with the instant flick of a switch or click of a mouse, and voila, backwards compatibility, 60 to 120 FPS, 4K, ray tracing, and if it doesn't happen, it's an L. He says it's freaking obnoxious and we really need to do better. I understand the desire for backwards compatibility, but stop bitching and demanding next-gen only experiences and cry for them to divert resources to take stagnant last-gen experiences forward out of convenience for a feature. You know damn well you're barely going to use it. Keep your old-gen hardware, hook them up, and when you want that nostalgia, you can have it. But if you want next-gen, stop expecting next-gen to straddle the line with cross-gen experiences when you're after the cutting edge. It takes developers, software engineers and programmers years in advance to prototype, plan and nail down features within scope of a product launch, and every next-gen feature included comes at the cost of time, labour and sometimes to people's detriment. Backwards compatibility is a novelty. And I just think, he goes on a huge rant, but everything that he says is just hitting the mark. So I'll post again in the chat. You guys, DZ really sums it up far better than I ever could, or as DWolf says, as he could. Although, I think DWolf could articulate it very well, personally. He's a clever guy. But yeah, it's definitely worth a read.
DZ spot on. So you have to look at the technology in VR 1 to 2 when you compare the both. I mean, you have the new tracking, the eye tracking, the inside out tracking where you don't have the external cameras anymore. The old games didn't support eye tracking or inside out tracking as well with the new technology that's going to be in VR 2. So to assume that every VR 1 game is going to be on VR 2 is not being realistic. You have to look at how much resources they have to put into their old games if they actually want to upgrade it to the VR2 to use all the features of VR2. It's up to the devs.
Yeah.
So I mean, you look between the two, they're not. It's not a small. It's a huge leap between the two. If you look at what each headset is doing.
One developer was asked, compared to a flat screen, how clear is the image quality? And he said it's better. He said the image quality he gets through his VR2 headset is clearer and crisper than the image quality that he would get on the flat screen. And that's crazy. Like
I'm sorry, Will, go ahead.
I was just going to say the technology of the what they're pushing with this is amazing. It's not for everyone. Like, it's just not. Like, I have to be in a specific mindset for VR. And, you know, I am excited for PlayStation VR 2 more than I've ever been for VR before. And I will be getting it at some point down the line. But it's not for everyone. And it is relatively still niche, per se. But there are opportunities to revolutionize and innovate game design. And if you're expecting this hardware to be tied down to the format of the old hardware and previous generation tech, VR tech, then you're asking for restrictions all for a feature that you'll barely use. And you're not going to be playing flipping what's that first-person shooter VR title exclusive to PlayStation VR? The next one is coming out soon.
I know.
Firewall, that's the one. You're not going to be playing Firewall when Firewall 2 releases, you know?
Well, you have the Oculus headset, Wooly. So you know the previous gen of VR when you try to use it, the resolution was very low. Mm-hmm. Like you didn't get 4K, you got 720, 1080p. You got a blurry image. It wasn't as crisp. You know, it's not 4K. It's a low res, so you get that blurry. The immersion was there, but the technology really wasn't there to really push games forward. Like it's going to be with VR2. So that visual fidelity, as far as that blurriness with VR2, that's going to be a thing in the past. You're going to have 4K HDR sharp.
Just for clarification, guys, in case you're wondering what we're talking about, just to be sure in case you missed it, PlayStation VR 2 is not backwards compatible with original PSVR games. I'm guessing you've sussed that already. I don't want to insult your intelligence, but I just thought I'd just mention it for anyone listening in who's not sure or certain. But I think, you know, you're getting PSVR 2 for PSVR 2 titles. You're not getting PSVR 2 for PSVR 1 titles. And I think...
There are arcade.
Yeah. I mean,
it's...
Yeah, I can understand, you know, people might say, you know, but what about consoles? You want consoles that are backwards compatible? I'm like, yeah, I can understand your point. Facts. But you got to appreciate we're talking about something that's very different to a console here. We're talking about the rendering, the fundamental way that these games are built to fit the peripherals of this new device that has upgraded peripheral and vision, as well as higher FOV and foveated rendering. All of those things require coding to take advantage of, right? And if you're going, you can't just expect, like, we're not that far yet. We're not that far in technology, guys, where a simple AI algorithm can completely restructure game code to take advantage of new hardware fully. You know, it's very unrealistic to have these kind of expectation. But there we go again, right? There's been a lot of outrage about this. Here Sony are giving you a product, yet more they're continuing to give different gamers with different desires and different wants things that appeal to them, and they can't do right by you. They get shit. They just get shit for it. It's like, what have we become as a gaming community? Like, are we this? Is this it now? Are games bad? Is new hardware bad? Bring out the next controller, though. Bring me out a controller reskin. Fuck yeah, I'll have that. But God forbid you bring out new technology that enables games to be developed and built in a different way to look better than they've ever been. Baffles me.
We always say we want to move on to next gen. We don't want cross-gen anymore. We want to move forward. So now that VR, how come that same logic does not apply to VR?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to move forward with next gen. It's just, there's just so many things doing it. That's not
Twisted Sin. He says, stop listening to Twitter. You're absolutely right, bro. You're absolutely right. It's become.
Don't tell him we'll leave it.
Go on, D Wolf. You what, bro?
I was just saying, I've been telling you that you need to stop listening to Twitter and stop getting into them arguments. That you're not going to convince anyone. You're not going to change them.
Oh boy, do I enter arguments. Sorry, say that last bit, D Wolf. Sorry, I botted.
It is entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
But I haven't got the patience for it.
Yeah, honestly, like, I do myself no favors. My wife is extremely patient with me. I can get really stressed out sometimes, but yeah, guys, I'd say it's a good time to wrap this up. You know, we've had a really good meaty chat about all of this, but I don't want to keep you guys much longer. I respect your time, and I think listeners have gotten everything they could want to get from these topics. Don't want to completely dry out the dead camel, so to speak. I do hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Is there anything any more that the panel wants to say before we go to outros?
Yeah, I'll kick all your asses in Gran Turismo 7 and Tekken.
I have no doubt.
That replay is going to be in this podcast, Retro. But it's going
what?
to that replay is going to be shown in this podcast. It's going to be me winning, you losing.
You're not going to win nothing. You're winning nothing but the place behind me, whatever that one ends up being.
Yeah, we'll need the replay uploading to YouTube, and send me the YouTube link, and I'll stream it on the show for everyone to see. Facts, big time. I'm excited for that. Who do you want to see win? Who do you want to see win the race? Chat. Let me know. So, guys, before we go,
yeah, thank you.
It doesn't matter who they want to win. I'm going to be winning. So,
yeah, I love it. So, guys, before we go, I asked a few individuals to off the scenes to mix match and just keep tabs on everyone who has thrown forward their Icon Era ID as well as their favorite game, and we have a winner, my dudes.
Mm-hmm.
They've been picked at complete random. There's zero favoritism here. I just want to stress that. Don't want anyone thinking. I promise you, it's completely random, and it's picked from the most sent back name sent back to me by random gets selected. So it's all very fair. And yeah, we have a winner. So are you ready? The winner of heavy. Sorry, I keep saying heavy metal singer. metal Hellsinger. Are you ready, guys? A huge congratulations to SixShot93. He got four sent back to me. Second was Geoman, and third was Rayrock. I'm so sorry, guys. It was so close. SixShot93. It's great to see you on the show, brother. I haven't seen you here often, but it's great that you were part of tonight's show. Thank you for being with us. And as a thank you to you, and I wish I could get every one of you in the chat a game. I really do. When I win the lottery, I promise you I will. But until then, it's just rare giveaways. But I will continue to do frequent giveaways, I promise. But I'll make them as frequent as I possibly can. But yeah, 6shot93, congratulations. Your favourite game is Metal Gear Solid 4. And I will be sending... Yeah, it's a phenomenal game. And I didn't pick you because Metal Gear Solid is also my favourite IP. I promise you. I did not. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid is also my favourite IP. And so yeah, it seems strangely fitting. You got it for your 16th birthday, and it was the best send-off the series could ever ask for. Gave me goosebumps, man. I still get tingles and cry when I watch Archon and Old Snake fight each other on top of Outer Haven. It's crazy. But yeah, congratulations. You get a copy of Metal Hellsinger. It's yours. I will be sending you a code via Icon Era. So keep a lookout on that site. And everyone who is Geo Knows Gaming, he says, buy me a John Tar controller. I love it. Ray Rock at 33, thank you for the opportunity, Wooly. Honestly, brother, it's a pleasure. I really hope you'll definitely have another shot next time, and I hope you and everyone else wins at some point. So yeah, congratulations. Honestly, Metal Hellsinger is one of the best games to come out in recent years. I love it so much. It's incredible. So it's going to be awesome to share that with someone who will enjoy it and appreciate it. So let's do outros, guys. Thank you again, everyone. We hit the 1K, 1,000 subs, onwards and upwards from here. It's been a great show. Hope you enjoyed the rants and the banter and the shit talking between the panel as well. It's all been good fun. Let's close out.
No, I take this shit deadly serious. I'm affected by each and every comment you say.
I still don't know who you are. You just keep popping up on the panel, and it's like, who is this guy talking? Anyway,
you give me the keys, man.
3% for social.
I do apologize. I called you a Ritalin victim, bro. I'm so sorry. That was like proper. That was hate talking on a whole different level. Because he's of small frame and stature. Retro. That's I just take the piss out of him like I do with OT and his beautiful bald head. But it's definitely not personal. It's just pure banter. But yeah, that's shit talking.
Yeah, we don't take none of this.
What's that picture you sent of me, Retro? You need to DM it me, and I'll show everybody. This is what I look like, apparently.
Give me 1 second.
You need to DM it me. It'll be funny. I'll show everyone. Because I've got a big head, as everybody knows. I've got a freaking big FOD. My FOD is huge. Like, I can't even wear caps. Caps won't fit me. It's ridiculous. Like, I've got a seriously big noggin. But I'm a big guy. I've got a big body as well. I'm 17 stone. I'm broad. Big shoulders, etc. So it kind of all looks relatively proportional for the most part. But yeah, Retro, where can we find you, my guy, whilst you're doing that?
You can find me on Twitter, XTSXRetro. My gaming profiles are on my bio, so if anyone wants to add me to try and race me on GT or beat my ass at Tekken, go ahead.
I love it. To be honest, guys, everyone can see the panel's Twitter handles down below for you to follow them on the screen. So by all means, guys, give these guys a follow. They're all incredible. But I would like to find out where we can find D-Wealth and Social Destruct. So D-Wealth, it's been absolutely awesome having you on, bro. I would love to have you on again and pick your brain some more. Where can we find you?
So I'm only on Twitter pretty much, DWolf78. So you can find me over there and try and get into a few chats and trying to get a bit of a bigger presence on there. So we'll see how we go. I'm on PlayStation, but that's under CUBJO, I think, CUBJO. It's not in my profile, but I put it up there. So, but I'm mainly a single player gamer. I've tried to get into the G2 League a couple of times, but just life's got in the way, and being in Australia, the time differences make it a bit harder. So, but no, a lot of fun. I really enjoyed being on the show, and definitely love to come back on if you'll have me.
Yeah, I'll definitely have you, bro. It's been an absolute honour. Loved having you. But this is D-Wolf's Twitter, so look for that handsome bearded mug of his, and get on that. Definitely, he's a great guy with really great takes and insightful comments. He's a psychologist by day and a gamer by night. Love it.
I think he's secretly just studying us all, but I'm down for that. So
you are?
I think he's doing a study on us all.
Do you reckon?
No,
it's like getting in deep. You know what I mean? Like,
why do you make it sound so kinky, Retro?
It might be. I don't know what hook he's going for.
That's probably why he keeps sending me photos.
I thought we needed research, man. I wasn't sure.
This is Retro's kink right here. This is what Retro thinks I look like. I don't want to say I'm offended, but fuck you, Retro. I'm offended. Like, I've got a big head. I know I have, but that's just crossing the line.
That's a cracking.
Bro, it's not even funny. I'm mortified by that. So yeah. Anyway, such a dick. Anyway, Social Destruct. Where can we find you, my guy?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. Gaming is alive. Thanks for having me on. Congrats on 1,000 subs, man. It's really, really cool.
Honestly, it's an honor.
It's like Spencer with a mutation.
It looks like Phil Spencer with a mutation, honestly. Guys, some exciting news. A certain individual, I'm not going to say who, he's listening into the show right now, but he's I'm going to call him Mr. Anonymous. He's a pretty credible source of insight into this whole CMA deal. He's literally was with Phil Spencer just the other day, and he's seen things going down. And it'll be interesting to hear his takes on the whole, how the CMA and all the investigations view Microsoft at this time and their attitudes towards Microsoft and why. And I'm just going to put this out there to you, my guy who's listening in. You know who you are. If you want in and you want to come on the show as Mr. Anonymous, it would be an absolute honor to have you guest with us and reveal all and spill the beans. We'll keep you protected. Don't worry. But it would be really incredible information for listeners and for us to learn what really is going down. So I'll throw that out to you, bro. I'll be a little bit audacious, and just know that if you do decide to come on, reach out to me. It would be a pleasure and an honor. Until then, guys, thank you so much again for the 1,000 subs we've hit. Shout out to Icon Era for sponsoring us, as always. Appreciate them. Definitely get on that bad boy. Get invested in Icon Era. They do giveaways themselves. Competitions like screenshot competitions, photo mode, game photo mode competitions. Really interactive stuff and fun community-based stuff for the gaming community. It's a great forum. Really is worth it. Just joining for free for nothing. And get on that. But yeah, congratulations again to SixShot93. I'll be reaching out to you on Icon Era. And until next time, guys, don't be a donut. Use your noggin. Love you all. Thank you. Peace.